Thank you, Donna. All right, good morning and welcome to the 2023 Family Childcare Training Institute, moving beyond rewards and punishments to choice and appropriate consequences. We will start off our day with the incredible Megg Thompson. So take it away, Megg.
Take it away.
Take it away.
Okay, now that it's recorded, we get to see me try to share my screen. It's gonna be fun for everyone. Okay, let's see if it and then it doesn't come up. Why does that happen? Okay, wait for it. So I don't put it up. Good thing you guys all know me. Well, maybe some of you don't. Who doesn't? There are people who don't. Maybe. Okay, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. There it is.
You got it. You got it.
I did it. I did it. Did it.
And you did it all by yourself.
All by myself. Well, so I can do it all by myself, but when I don't like have it up on my screen before I go into Zoom, then it gets a little wonky and then I can't find it in my choices. So I did it. I mean, I only have been on Zoom 4 million times. You would think I'd be really good at it, but and the people they gave me all have their cameras on. So I don't know how to get people. If your camera's not on, I don't know how to like swipe you over so I can see you and see me. I like to watch myself talk. So my expressions. Has anybody ever watched any of my videos? Alyssa, I know you have. On like YouTube and stuff, when you watch my videos, if you put it on mute or silent, it is hysterical to watch because you see this, but you can't hear anything. It just seems, it is, I feel like I should go viral just for that if you just put it on mute. All right, everybody. I'll introduce myself. I recognize a lot of you. Let me introduce myself, and then I have a workshop too. So that some of you are coming to that are here right now. So my name is Megg. I am a certified behavior consultant, and I hang out with the kids that throw chairs, swear, strip naked, and pee on the floor. Those are my kids, and all the kids I have are hard for somebody. My workshop, it coincides with, which is weird, Scott Noyce's water training. It's a beach workshop. So maybe Scott and I should have got together for that. He should have done like a water training at the beach while we were relaxing. So we do a lot of self-care workshops, but they're always 6 to 8 at night. And you're like, great. And then I talk to you about your wheel of wellness and self-care. And you're like, yeah, be quiet, lady. I want to go home, right? But you guys want to go home? Nobody wants to be there at 6 to 8 at night. So I made it on a Saturday. It is next Saturday, June 10th, from 10 to 2. You get 4 hours of professional development, and you get to, so my house, I live in Hampton, right out that window that you can, I can never do it backwards, right there. The ocean is 1 house away. So you can walk to the ocean. It's like probably 35 giant steps. And so next weekend we will be sitting on the beach, relaxing, chilling, rejuvenating. I have a bagel shop 3 streets away that you can walk to. I have at least 2 of you are coming. And you get, there's raffles if you go do the MT plunge, which is to go under the water. I mean, the water's like if it's 60 degrees, you'll be lucky. But it's just because we have, I think this year has been really hard from all the schools I've been to. It's been a really hard year with kids. They're coming back from virtual learning. They stayed home. The parents didn't know what to do. So there's a lot of things that happened at home that taught kids to behave a certain way. And now as teachers, we're like, oh, that doesn't work here. So we're having a rough time. And we needed time to like relax and rejuvenate and actually get credit for it. We are the only profession that there's no like, hey guys, let's go out to drinks and have a meeting or out to dinner or golfing, or we don't have any of that in childcare. None of it, especially in family childcare. We have none of it. So I've created an opportunity that we get some of it, right? So to come on the beach, hang out, you have a list of things to do, but I don't like, it's not like a training where I'm going to stand on the beach and talk to you. You're going to have a list of things to do. You're going to staple that to your certificate. It's going to be really great. If everybody could just cross their fingers and toes and it not be like today, that would be wonderful. I do not want Saturday to be like today. Woke up today and I just talked to Connie because Connie's coming. I woke up today and I was like, oh gosh, please don't make this be next Saturday too. Otherwise, we're going to sit in my house and rejuvenate in my sparkle outfits. Because, right, wouldn't that be fun? You could all wear my sparkle clothes and run around. And I mean, it could be fun because we could do like a photo booth thing. I might have to, right, figure that out. We hope. Well, we've had rain one time. I feel like I'm jinxing myself now. We've had it one time for an hour and a half. And we just hung out in my living room and bagels, and people thought it was great. So that is also, I don't know how to email me. I don't know how to put the thing in the chat. I could. I think I would mess this up. So, you can email me. My email's right here. Meg@meggthompson.com. You don't even have to have it. The handout. You could just remember it. Just do 2 G's. I don't know where 1 G brings you. All right. So this, I think, is one of my favorite workshops to do. Moving beyond rewards and punishments to choice and appropriate consequences, because everywhere I go, there is rewards and punishments. Mostly rewards that kind of are punishments at the same time. So you probably know which ones I'm talking about. I don't do anything with stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips. There's very limited time that I would do it for a kid. A sticker chart, a token board, a clip system, right? So I'll show you some of them. These are some of the ones that so this is the sticker chart I got. Okay, so first of all, this is a bee, not a turtle. Everybody thinks it's a turtle. I am in behavior, not art. It's a turtle. See, I mean, a bee. See, it's got a stinger. And you would get a sticker for what? Good
behavior.
Well, how many E's are in behavior though, Fawn? 2, right? Good behavior. So this was on a bulletin board in a classroom one time, and it said something about good behavior, BEEHAVIOR. And I was like, stop it. And I was in this classroom and it was 3 and 4-year-olds. That's way too little for a sticker chart, but whatever. And it was on a bulletin board and everybody had one. And there's a varying amount of stickers. But I was in that classroom for 2 hours and nobody got a sticker. But everybody, it was like, they were doing what they needed to do. They were being developmentally appropriate, age appropriate. The volume was fine. But nobody got a sticker. So I said, oh, I'm kind of confused about the sticker chart. And I was here and nobody really got a sticker. And they said, oh, they have to go above and beyond. They're 3 and 4. Do they even know what that means? Right? If I said right now, you guys would get a sticker. I would never do this to you, but you would get a sticker if you went above and beyond in this workshop. But that's all I gave you for information. Does anybody know what that means? You're probably thinking, okay, I'll turn my camera on. Do I ask a question? I was like, well, questions are kind of expected. So it has to be like a really thoughtful question. And you get 2 stickers if you can ask a question I don't have an answer to. But like, I'm not sharing any of that with you. So you're thinking, how do I get my sticker at the end? Right? And a sticker gets you whatever. But I don't give you all the information. So that's what I was seeing in this, upside down with this bee. So this is a Pinterest strategy. Someone went on Pinterest and they thought they put in behavior management and then they got this cutesy strategy. If you're going on behavior, on Pinterest and looking at behavior management, unfortunately, you're doing it wrong. Because Pinterest is when you have too many mason jars from your wedding and you need to figure out what to do with those. That's what Pinterest is for. So feng shui yourself out of Pinterest for behavior management, because you'll also get something like this. I'm a little bit of PTSD from red, yellow, and green as colors, because those are always surrounds a reward system. So this is, I'm having a great day. This says I owe 10 minutes of recess. The recess should never be taken away. That should never be a strategy that we use. I owe 20 minutes of recess. That's like more than the recess you have. 20 minutes, that's the whole recess. And I'm getting a note home. So not only do I get to miss, I don't get natural light and fresh air and movement, all which my body needs to be successful, and vitamin D, but I'm also getting a note home. So you're pulling in the people who love me unconditionally. And even if I get it together and move from red to yellow to green, by the end of the day, my mom already knows that I was on red. And so now I'm going to have anxiety about it all day long. So we're not doing this. And know that when I say these things, if you're like, oh, nuts, I do those, know that I taught kindergarten for 10 years. And I also did this. It was huge. It was on, the green was like this big, and it took up a whole wall, and the names were like this big. So it was like humongous. So not only did I do it, but I made it like so public. It was unbelievable. And I cringe at the thought. I also did a sticker chart with a little boy. I had to do it every 15 minutes. So I've done all of this. I did not do this one, but this is the one that I see most often. So you get clips for ready to learn. You get clothespins with your name on it. And then you move down to warning, teacher consequence, parental contact, or good, great, and outstanding. If you went on Pinterest and looked up behavior management or clip chart, there's probably 4,000 pages of this. Of like how to make it better. There was one time that said, it was a flight one. So it started, I don't know how the words went, but it started at the bottom. And if you got all the way to outstanding, and then you did something even more outstanding than outstanding, it like flew off the chart and the teacher wore it on her shirt. And then if you did something even more outstanding that was outstanding than outstanding, then it went on the principal's shirt. And I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, can I choose where you place it? But that makes me be fresh and rude. And then I would be back on the chart and probably down to parent contact. Right. And you're supposed to start it ready to learn every day. That's not how I saw those. I would go to schools day after day, and the same kids would be on red, and I'd go and put them on green. I now, if you don't know me much, you probably know now in 32 minutes that I'm, or 22 minutes that I'm fresh and sassy and rude sometimes. I don't mean to be rude, but feisty. Let's call it feisty. That if I see those in schools, I end up pulling them down. So fun, fast, and easy. Those strategies are fun, fast, and easy. And they end in shame, guilt, and embarrassment. Almost always. And so think of, if you have them or you've seen them, I get this. No, my kids love them and they work. That's not true. You must have a lot of kids that can hold it together, stuff it down. And then they have after school restraint collapse, which I know about because of Alyssa. Alyssa here taught me that word, and she had me look it up, and I use it all the time. So thank you, Alyssa, for that. It is something I use often now. So after school restraint collapses, I was able to hold it together. And then when I got home, it comes out big and tantrumy and meltdowny. So kids can stuff it. Anxiety is quiet, right? It stuffs until it can't be stuffed anymore. So they increase depression, anxiety, they decrease self-esteem, and we don't want to do any of those. There's also, look, I have a whole bunch of other ones. Okay, so stickers. Wait, do I have these tickets? Class Dojo. Anybody hear about Class Dojo? Hopefully you don't use that. Oh, Class Dojo is, it's on a smart board and everybody is a monster. You get to pick the color and how many eyeballs you have. And if you do something wrong, or you make a mistake, or you are impulsive or reactive or have big emotions, you get points given or taken away, but that has a sound to it so the whole class knows about it. And then it can be sent home too. You can pay $7.95 a month, so the points follow you home and then follow you back to school, so you're never out of the system. So Class Dojo is I always say it's a no-go for the dojo. We don't. Imagine right now that you would all have like points, and every time I took a point away because your camera's not on, it'd go wah wah. Imagine. And if you like asked a question, you get bing, and everybody would look up and say like, oh, who is it? Anybody want to play that game? Everybody said no. No. Class dojo, PBIS, all the things that like you get points to get oh, sorry, I'm muting someone. Points to get prizes. This was in a classroom in a middle school. First of all, middle school is too old. It was in a middle school, and the girl goes, I wanted a book. I said, what did you want in this like auction? Then they auction them, guys. You get points, and at the end, whoever has the most points has the most ability to get the auction items. So she wanted a book, and I was like, oh my gosh, with the addiction to technology nowadays, we just give her the book. She wants to sit and read a book. I'll buy you 10 of them. A book and a stuffed animal that smelled like coffee. I didn't even know that was a thing. She wanted those too. And I said to her, I said, where did your teacher, do you know where your teacher got them? And she's like, nope. In her head, the teacher got them at this special teacher store that she can't shop at. I said, do you know she got them at, you ready? Five Below. And she was like, what? She got them at Five Below? And I said, yeah. She's like, oh, and she instantly didn't care. I'm just gonna have my mom bring me to Five Below and get me one. They're like $5 or under. I said, yeah. She goes, I have that. I'll go buy one myself. She didn't care anymore. Mystery student. Do we know what the mystery student is? There's a name of a kid on a wall, and then there's a piece of paper that like covers it. And then if you behave and you have a good day, you reveal the mystery student, and then everybody gets a prize. But if the mystery student doesn't have a good day, then you don't reveal it, and then someone pretends to go to the bathroom and peek at it. That's happened many times. Tokens, desk pets. You guys know about desk pets? So they kind of look like this, but they're not as cool as this. Check this out. I have little friends, Brennan's little friends, who are like 12 and 13, made out of felt, and these are embroidered, guys. So there's something like this. They're usually little erasers. Oh, you know what? These are probably better. It's like this. You get a little desk pet, and it sits on your desk, and it watches you behave. And if you do anything, it has to go in timeout on the teacher's desk. But if you do good things, you can earn like food and a little bed for it, and pillows and friends. So you know who's the good kid and who's the bad kid, depending on how many are on the desk. That's a big one. And kids can just have those things on their desk because some kids need a fidget, right? The house system, that looks like Harry Potter. It's called Ron Clark. The good behavior game, that's... So do we see what's happening here? They're just different games. They're different behavior games with different mediums and different rules. And if one doesn't work, what happens? We just change it to a different one, or someone packages it differently. And then they put beautiful words around it that aren't true, but it's beautiful, positive language around things like PBIS. They've done research, and only recently have I seen the research. I've asked for it. I'm like, guys, give me the research. And the research I got, I was like, I don't even know what that says. Dee Dee's probably read a lot of research too, doing what she does. And then you read it and you're like, I don't even know what to do with that. I don't like, it's just in like this jargon that I don't understand. And I'm like, but I'm in the field, so I don't understand how I don't understand it. And you know what? So I did my own research. I say it like that because it's not like written down or peer reviewed, but it is research where I've asked kids how they feel about these things. And all of them have said they hate them. The parents say they hate them. The parents say that the kids have done, come home and they're so worried about it. Even the kids, the good kids that would not do anything, right? They're the people pleasers. They're the mediators. They are like well-behaved, have such anxiety over it, and they can't do anything else but focus on this. So we have to move beyond these rewards that end up being punishments. Punishments being detention, suspension, I'm not sure I've had any kid that I've known recently in the past 11 years since I've been doing this that has gotten suspended and been like, "Whew, probably shouldn't do that again." What are they thinking? Yeah, vacation, I hate school anyway. You're going to send me home for 3 days? Oh, that is a miracle. What do I have to do to have that happen again? It's just on my, hold on. I know I'm on my phone, but there was just a post. Hold on, I'm getting there. Ah! Stop it. That says this. Where is it? It says, just watched a kid walk up to another one, slap them across the face, turn around and walk away. Kid asked, "Why did you hit me?" The other kid goes, the kid said, "Because I know all the teachers just saw it and I don't want to come to school next week." That's what we teach kids when we suspend them. What do I have to do that's bad enough where they don't want me in school anymore and I get to go home? But we see it a lot of times in childcare when the kids like can't settle down, or they don't know what to do, and then they send the kid home. And I've been in many situations where they send the kid home and then the kid just realizes to do that again. And then the parents say, "What do I do?" And I say, "You have to change schools." Or the school has to say, "We won't send you home again, no matter what you do," but then the kid's just going to ratchet it up. So I've had a lot of kids have to change schools because of that strategy. So that's the punishment part of it. Or we'll talk about timeouts. We'll talk about other punishments that we give kids. But first we have to think of, if I can hit this right, there we go. Do you use punishment? Do you take items or experiences away when misbehavior is seen? My favorite one ever was a boy who was having a hard time in school. He was also having a hard time at home. He was his temperament was like mine. So he was fresh and sassy and didn't care about certain things and saw rules as suggestions and was very determined and dominant. And the mom said, "Well, if you don't get your act together, you're not going to Disney World." And I was like, then the kid put his hands on his hips and he goes, "Really, Mom? Didn't you buy my ticket already? Who are you staying home with me? I can't stay home by myself, so you're not going to go to Disney World?" And the mom looked at me and I was like, "He's right. You're not going to bring him to Disney World? You're going in like 5 days. You're just like going to cancel the trip and waste thousands of dollars?" And so the mom was like, "Now what do I do?" And you say, "You just made a mistake, that you spoke before you thought." But that is what parents and teachers and what we do is we think, what's the worst thing we could take away so the kids adjust their behavior? But 98% of the time, a challenging behavior is a lack of skill or an unmet need. It's not. Kids do well when they can. Most kids don't wake up and think, "You know what? I'm going to make my teacher's life awful today. I'm going to do these things in this order." They probably wake up and think, "You know what? Today's going to be my best day ever." And it gets messed up. I don't mean it. So when I have kids that can't do work or misbehave, remember that all behavior is communication. So, right, does the discipline use natural, logical, or teaching consequences? We're going to learn about those today. Are you teaching skills and meeting needs? So know that when you teach skills and meet needs, you need to use your two best friends of time and patience. Always. You always have to use time and patience. Otherwise, you're in fun, fast, and easy, right? You can see the fast and
I'm gonna get a hot flash in a minute.
you can see the fast and easy part of the strategies I showed you. The fun part I'm talking about, because everybody's like, "Well, don't you want it to be fun?" No, the fun part I'm talking about is the fact that they make like they make like Lego guys, or they make a dinosaur theme because the kids like a dinosaur, or they get dinosaur trinkets out of the prize box. Like, that's the fun part. It's not fun in the way that you're thinking it's fun. So, so we have to know where we start now. Self-reflection will get us to a different place. So, right, what was used on you? I was spanked when I was little, right? That was the thing to do when I was little. I was spanked. My mom yelled. Anybody have kids and their mothers are way different with their grandchildren than they are with their children? What? My mom thinks the sun rises and sets on Brennan, my 11-year-old. He is the best kid ever, and I love him dearly, and I want to smooch his face every day, all day long. I wish I could get paid to snuggle him. But I got yelled at a lot when I was little. And my mom does not yell at Brennan. She said, oh, he had a bump today. And we talked about it. And now we're okay. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? We've been yelled at. We've been thrown into next week. Anybody have that? Oh my goodness, I tell you. So before we go any further, don't look up behavior management strategies on Pinterest. Okay, everybody deal. Don't do it. Or look them up and realize, and then see the pattern that is happening. The pattern is behavior game, different medium, different rules. That one doesn't work. Behavior game, different medium, different rules. Doesn't work. And we keep going and doing the same thing. The thing is what game? I want you to think right now, what game? Kickball, foursquare, softball, card game, board game, have you played that you didn't want to play? Take a minute. So I played Stratego. Anybody play Stratego? Kick my son's butt. He thinks he's so smart, and I'm, even with my drunk squirrels, I win. But I played because I wanted to. Some kids don't want to, most kids don't want to play those behavior games, but it is mandatory for teachers to do that. It is not mandatory for you guys because you're in family childcare. So you have the ability to say, we're not playing those behavior games. But in schools, when they say you have to, because it's part of this PBIS, positive behavior intervention support program, they make teachers do it. And then I'll say, okay, they make the teachers do it. Give the kids a choice, do they want to play or not? Because have you ever been forced to play a game? And if you could think of one where you were forced to play a game, did you have fun? I can't think of a time I was forced to play a game. I didn't really want to play Stratego last night, but I did. So I kind of wanted to, right? If I really didn't want to play, I wouldn't have played. Except with your kid, right? You always are like, oh, fine. And then I kicked his butt twice. So I'm competitive. So it made me happy. And he's like, Mommy, why are you so good at this? And I was like, my brother used to play Stratego with me when I was little, and my brother was really good. So I had to hone my craft at strategy. And I said, Bud, you forget what I do for a job. Like, I get the strategy in my head. I have the behavior strategies. I could see his face. I can ask him questions about the flag, and he looks at his flag to like answer the question. The minute I take one guy out and he thinks it's someone big, he'll like put his back. So I know that he doesn't want to lose that one. Like, I get it. He hasn't figured that out yet. So know that the emotional and logical part of the brain can't happen at the same time. So when a kid is dysregulated or has big emotions, and they're right, we all start here with emotional and logical. They're here, they're even keeled. Someone steals their toy. Kid goes like this. Pew! Grabs the toy, hits the kid, throws something, screams, screeches. Emotional goes up here. What happens to the thoughtful part? Takes a little rest. It's not thinking, hey, if I go ask a teacher and tell the teacher that he took the toy, I bet the teacher can help me get it back. That's the thoughtful part of the brain. I saw yesterday, it happens all the way, especially around the scared emotion. So there was a kid, they were doing some sort of project in high school. Was he in high school? Middle school. They were middle school, late middle school. And as the kid was cleaning up, he got another kid with the glue gun, like the glue gun on him. And this boy, he went, what? It was totally an accident by the other kid, but because he went big with emotions, he's neurodivergent, right? He's autistic and emotionally disturbed is what they've decided to diagnose him. So he goes big quick, and the other kid was mortified because he didn't mean it. And I tried to explain to the kid who did it. I was like, you know what? The scared emotion is the one that goes emotional fast and says things or does things so fast and so quick that the thoughtful part of the brain doesn't even have a chance to open its eyes and stretch. To say like, oh, did you need me? We've been forming habits around this. And I'd love to help you. But habit upon habit upon habit does this. The emotional brain starts to go, oh, I've really practiced this. I'm good at it. Right? The thoughtful part holds down the emotional part. That's why we need time and patience. Otherwise, if we keep using fun, fast, and easy, this keeps happening. Up and up and up and up. And we have to co-regulate with kids, right? So when kids are up here, we can't also be up here. You know what is the quickest thing to do that? Are you ready? Did you take that from him? No, I didn't. Yes, you did. 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 And what happens? If we enter that power struggle of no, you didn't. Yes, you did. You guys, adults, get up here. And I'm guilty of it. I did it the other day. Little girl has her birthday party invitations. She's going to be 6. So you know about birthday parties and little kids. I'm sure you've heard it. You're not my friend. You're not going to be my friend. And you're not coming to my birthday party. Or they talk about their birthday party all night, all year long. You get uninvited and you're like, his birthday's in April, buddy. You got like 8 months before anything, or 10 months before anything even happens. So she had her invitations and she's like, I want to do them now. I said, oh, I don't have the list. We're going to have Gigi do them for you. And she just was like, I said, Gigi said we have to be very careful of them. No, she didn't. I said, oh yeah, I heard her. I heard her say that because the door's open. She's like, no, she didn't. And I said, yes, she did. And she's like, no, she didn't. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting in the no, she didn't. Yes, she did. I thought the more I gave, like the more serious and firm I was with the yes, she did, she would give in. Well, she's built like me. This little girl's built like me and is determined and competitive. And she was like, I'm not backing down. Even if I'm wrong, I'm not backing down. And I'm not going to admit I'm wrong. So she kept going. And I said, I'm going to go give the invitations back to Gigi so we can move on to something else. I had to like do something. So I brought him back. And by the time I came up, she was over it. She's like, do you want to play Pac-Man? Okay. And right. And how many people have this happen? The kid switches, right? Their emotions up here, and then it comes down really fast. And they're like ready to do something else. And you're like, what just happened? What? And we have no time to like deregulate our emotions. And they're just done with it. That part's pretty tricky. So number 2, if you consider your classroom, home, inclusive, watch out for excluding others. So we get that a lot. This is an inclusive environment. Everybody's welcome. And then I'll go in and I'll be like, if you have point systems, stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips, you're excluding others in an inclusive environment. Because who doesn't get them? The kids that don't know the skills or needs aren't met. That's like me saying, here's the adult version of that. I say this to you. Okay, so at the end of this workshop mine at 10:30, this is what's going to happen. All of you, if you could do this at the end, will get $10,000. Right? I know, right? And all of us are in childcare, make 37 cents an hour. So we're like, what? I will do it. I'm doing it. And we're ready, right? Because this is what you're gonna get this prize. $10,000. Okay, anybody want to know what they have to do? You have to speak fluent Russian to me at the end at 10:30. And if you speak fluent Russian, then you have to speak fluent Arabic. I don't know. I said it one time to a woman, and I should have known her name was Nadia, and she spoke fluent Russian to me, and I was like, I was just kidding. I'm not giving you $10,000. I'll give you 10,000 tickets if you want. But right, how many people are like, well, I don't know how to do that. That's not fair. I don't know Russian. I don't even know the swear word in Russian. How many people, that's the first thing you know in a new language, the swear words, right? Yeah. And you're thinking, what? What do you mean? So wait, you're including me? I'm allowed to be in this workshop? Connie said she was so excited for me to be here. And now what? You're excluding me because I don't know the skill to speak fluent Russian? That's not fair. I took 9 years of French. I can't even speak fluent French to you. I could say like, Le papier. I know that. I know, la chaussure, which is my shoe. I don't know, like, la porte is a door. Le plancher is a floor. I don't know how to speak fluent French, even though I took it for 9 years. And how to conjugate verbs, if you're interested. If you'd like to stay after, I could conjugate some verbs for you. Nous allons, vous allez. No? Okay. So remember that we're not including others to exclude them later when our toolbox is empty. I'm hoping to fill your toolbox with some things today. So time and patience are your greatest tools. Those are your two best friends. So make sure you're using those when you feel like you've run out of time or you've run out of patience. That's where self-care comes. That's where you go sit on the beach and try to fuel that box up, that toolbox back up. If people feel like they've lost control, so adults, when they lose control and their toolbox is empty, what happens most often is you dig your heels in and hoard all the power and control. That's not good for any kid. It's not good for kids that are direct and determined and dominant, right? That temperament does not do well with us hoarding all the power. This is my classroom. These are my toys. This is my house. You're going to do what I say. And there are some kids that are like, and what do you, right? How many people have had kids like this? And what are you going to do about it? What? Put me in timeout? I don't care. Take away my toys? I don't care. Take away my favorite bunny? I don't care. Not feed me? Well, you can't. Right? Like all these things. Send me home? Good. Didn't want to be here anyway. There are some kids that realize that. I realized it I remember the day I realized it in 5th grade. Like, if I was really a bad kid, I thought this, I would never say that to anybody. I would never call anybody a good or a bad kid. But in my head in 5th grade, I thought, if I was a bad kid, what's the worst that could happen? I'd go to the principal's office, I'd get sent home. Now my mom would be mad. Then what? I mean, some kids, I bet, especially in family childcare, because I feel like the relationships are so much closer with the families. Have you withheld information because you're afraid that the kids are going to get hurt at home? I've seen that happen often, is that kids may get hurt. And you're like, well, I don't know about that. That doesn't sound good. All right, next one. If people feel like, oh, we did that one. So make sure you're sharing power and control. That's the only time those stickers, tickets, tokens, points, and clips work. If the child is in on the creation of it, making it, having some of the rules, telling you what the prizes would be. I've done it twice successfully with kids that are older that have been able to be in on the rules. Otherwise, no. Being someone who can influence others is our greatest strength because relationships are our best behavior strategy. Always. But it's not as easy as that, right? Relationships is a big thing. There's a lot of new information needed. It's not just like, I'll be nice to these kids because being too nice makes it then, right? So there's a lot of new information for relationships. A lot of people say relationships alone won't change everything, but it is still your best behavior strategy. The beginning, middle, and end. You just have to know temperament is the part that is important. I am in a school right now, in a high school in middle high school in Manchester. And I've done the assessment to find out what your natural temperament is, how you're naturally designed with the kids that I've been given that are hard and with the teachers. Here's what I see. The teachers are all sweet, sensitive people pleasers, critical thinkers, and are academic. The kids are direct, dominant, interactive. So they are on opposite sides of the behavior pattern. So what the teachers do instinctually does not work with the kids. And what the kids are doing, the teachers don't understand. And I was like, that's what we have to figure out. how do we talk so the kids hear us, and how do the kids ask so the teachers are listening? And the school's like, oh, it's like, yeah, that's what happens. There's like one kid I got that was like a teacher, and 2 teachers I got that were like kids. Otherwise, they were exact opposites. And they don't know what to do, and they're having a hard time with behavior management because it's hard to form a relationship with people you don't understand, right? So that's what we're working on. Well, hopefully we'll work on it next year. Conflict happens, enter, maintain, and exit it well. It's hard. Oof, so hard. Especially when you do yes, you did, no, I didn't. That's when you have to, that's a conflict. And then knowing what your hot buttons are. So mine's whining. If you ask me to whine, my answer will almost always be no. I don't even care what you asked. I didn't even actually listen to what you asked. It's just no. Repetitive, mom, 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 mama, mama, mommy, mommy, mommy. It's gonna be a no. I don't care what you're asking. It's still a no. Mommy, do you want me to give you $10,000? I'm probably still gonna say no because you repeated my name over and over and over. Makes me bonkers. So what are your hot buttons? Because your hot buttons, and you know, in family childcare, it's really hard. Why? Because they say if you have a hot button and it's tag out, go somewhere else, have someone else come in and help you. And how many family childcare? How many people right now just said this to me in your head? It's just me. There's nobody else. Yeah, that stinks. That's happening everywhere now because we can't find paras, we can't find extras. God forbid we take a mental health day. Do you know my mental health day secret? Anybody know what my secret is? Alyssa knows it. My mental health day secret. If you need a mental health day, do not call in with a stomach ache or a headache or don't say you need a mental health day. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get bullied and picked on and diarrhea. That's the secret. How many people just were uncomfortable with that word? Like, what? If you call the families and say, I'm sorry, I have explosive, massive diarrhea this morning, nobody is going to ask you questions. They're so uncomfortable that you just called them with diarrhea. Nope. You get the whole day off. You could probably even get the next day off if the diarrhea continues. That's my mental health day secret. Unfortunately, during COVID, when you really need a mental health day, that was also in the like things you had to check off. So then you had to go somewhere and take a test, a PCR test, PCR, is that what they're called? Yeah, PCR test, or you had to have a quick one at home. But I feel like if you really needed a mental health day, that's fine. Now, I think we're safe now, right? Could you call them with diarrhea and you don't have to take a test? And don't say I have the stomach bug. You have to say diarrhea. Explosive or massive is better. So just so you know, write that down. If I ever need a mental health day, Megg Thompson said diarrhea. And I get a lot of poop emojis, by the way. I have a lot of people text me poop emojis. Alyssa, who's here today, sent me, I have a poop emoji sticker with a heart on it, and it's on my car.
I'm just grateful that we're recording this and that this is going to be the most important part of this recording.
Yeah.
That this will be the one thing, the big note that we're all writing down. Because I know, and that's the thing. Nobody's going to take this, but I noticed everybody was writing this down. It wasn't lack of skill or unmet need. It was diarrhea.
Yep. But it's true because how many people have needed a mental health day and you just don't take one? And it gets to the point where, and I was seeing teachers take them. Well, if you don't take them, you leave the profession. I saw that. But if they call in and honestly say that I need a mental health day, the people that talked about them in the school, I'm like, oh, where's so-and-so? Oh, she took a mental health day. That's how they said it. And I was like, well, she probably was struggling and needed to do some self-care. Or, yeah, like we don't need to. And I thought, like, well, then you should call them with diarrhea too. Jeez. But at some point, all the teachers are leaving the profession. And I don't know what's going to happen then. I'm not sure what's happening. What's going to happen? Well, now they've lessened the qualifications to be a teacher. And like Massachusetts used to need a master's degree within 5 years of becoming a teacher. And now it's like See, I don't even, you don't even need to have a bachelor's degree to be a teacher right now. They'll help you earn one. And all the teachers currently are like, what? I know people that have been in it for years and years and years, and this is my passion, and this is what I was born for. This is why God put me here on earth, are gone. They're like bartenders. It's terrible. But we also need bartenders to help us with the self-care. So make sure you know your hot buttons. What are your hot buttons? And as family childcare providers, when the hot button happens, what are you going to do? Because you don't have a tag out. I taught kindergarten in a childcare setting for 10 years. I had a tag out. We used to say we have to move our car. That was our secret. We had 2 parking lots. So we would take our car and just go to the other parking lot to take deep breaths and calm down. But you guys can't go. Are you going to put the 5-year-olds in charge of the 4-year-olds in charge of the infants? Like, nope. So you have to figure out in your own space what you're going to do. And I don't know what that is. Because sometimes it's somebody else. And if you don't have a somebody else, that's tricky. Whispers turn into yelling if you're not paying close attention. So there's a little boy in a childcare one time, and he was having a hard time, and he'd be like, oh, he said, this classroom is so tight. But he said it like to himself. I said, so tight, that's a weird thing to say for a 4-year-old. And then he said, oh, these people are too close, but kind of to himself. And then at snack time, he had Cheerios. He didn't want Cheerios. He hates Cheerios. And he took it and he flipped it and threw it. And I was like, what happened? And then I realized it was, nobody heard me, or I didn't tell anybody when the classroom was too tight, when people were too close, when it was too loud. So when I got Cheerios that I didn't want, what happened? So we have to listen to the whispers. It's the kids who come in sad, the kids who cling to your leg, the kids who whine and cry for like nothing, the kids who are hard from the very beginning of the day when they've come in. It's the kids who sometimes wear their coat all day, you know, those kids. It's kids that, like, you know, the kids that were, their bodies were born with the wrong skin, and they're just like, everything is itchy and everything is too hot or too cold, and you're like, oh, God gave you the wrong skin. I don't know what happened, buddy. And they're just sensorially so like, oh, or kids that have like food stuff. Like, you got to listen to the really little whispers, because if we don't listen to those, what happens? I've had kids hang from the ceiling before in public school because no one listened to the whispers, and threw F-bombs, which was awesome. Teacher did not like that. And I said, are you going to tell the parents about the words? And she said, his parents? I was like, no, all the other kids that just learned how to use the F-bomb in a sentence. And when they go home and they have broccoli for dinner, that's what they're going to throw out. Broccoli? I don't want your broccoli. I was like, oh, you should probably tell parents it's coming. And hurt people. So if kids with trauma in the background, they're hurt. We definitely, none of the stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips are trauma informed. So know that if you have kids with trauma, you're not doing any of those things because they're not trauma informed. And I feel like after COVID, there's so many kids with trauma. A lot of kids spent COVID in the house where the trauma happened and just kept having it over and over and over and over and over again. I see that now with so many kids. Older kids only because they're old enough to tell you. Excuse me. Old enough to tell you about it. But remember that hurt people. So, and if you are someone who has had trauma or is having a hard time mental health wise, to get help, find help where you can, so then you can be the best you can be, especially if there's not somebody else in your environment to help you as an adult. I think that's really important. Sorry guys, I have like a frog in my throat. Is that what you call it, a frog? It's probably a unicorn, to be honest. It's this one. Okay. I got the Golden Unicorn Award for speaking fluent Russian. No, I'm just kidding. I just got that as a birthday present. I have a lot of weird things. Okay, my squirrels. Here's one of my drunk squirrels. Can you see him? Yes. Anybody else like squirrels and unicorns and mermaids and rainbows? I love, it's Pride Month, which I support all pride everywhere all the time, but I also really like rainbows. So it's like my rainbow month. I love it. Because love is love. Oh, Dee Dee's going to talk about that. She's doing Choose Love at 11:10. I don't know when it is. Whenever she starts talking.
And Meg, I hate to interrupt you, but it's 9:29, so in about a minute, we're gonna.
Oh, we could go now. We could go now.
Seem like
Yeah.
a good time.
It does seem like a good time.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll just come back at what, 9:45?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Back to my serious face. I don't have a serious face. I don't even own one. Okay, so we're gonna go. So that was before, right? Before we go any further. So those are things to sort of have in the back of our heads before we go even further than that. Oh boy. Hold on, I lost you. Oh boy. Sorry, I clicked you off for a second. So developmental norms. So we don't want kids, and that's why we also wouldn't use stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips. We never want kids to follow an adult directive 100% of the time. That's unsafe. Okay, right? All the abuses fit in there if it's 100% of the time. It should only be at most, see right here, 90% of the time. And that's for 6 years and older. And then, and it also means that we don't have a voice. We can't say, I don't really agree with that. I don't want to do that. That makes me feel uncomfortable. I think your sticker chart's stupid, right? Like we don't get to say any of that stuff. So if you have 3-year-olds in your program and they fall through about 60 to 70% of the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, they listen to me like about half the time, you're doing it. You're doing it. That's how many times they're supposed to fall through. Right? 4 years old is about 70 to 80. 5 is about 80 to 90. And 6 years old to adulthood, it should only be 90% of the time. Otherwise, we don't, when we want blind obedience, that's called authoritarian, right? Like, because, right, it's the because I said so. You're going to do that because I said so. Means that kids can't make mistakes. They have to be perfect. They're scared to make mistakes. Right? It's not how many times you fall down, but how many times you get up, right? All the inspirational sayings to get to follow your dreams or meet your dreams. You have to go outside your comfort zone. Well, if you've been in trouble because you didn't fall through 100% of the time, and now you are perfectionistic, there's probably mental health concerns because of this behavior, you're never going to go outside your comfort zone. I mean, I started to be a behavior consultant the day I gave birth to Brendan. I was a behavior intern. Before that, I nannied. Before that, I was kindergarten teacher. Before that, I nannied. I went back to the same school to do behavior stuff. And then I had Brennan, and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to change my career. I emailed every special ed director in the state of New Hampshire. I emailed them, called them, and sent snail mail. I did not hear from one person. Someone said, can you explain the developmental norms again? Oh, they don't have the handouts in front of them, maybe? Yes, developmental norms. So sorry, things are popping up. At 3 years old, kids will follow through on an adult directive like, go put your shoes on. It's time for you to go to the bathroom, get your coat on, eat your snack. I was going to say do your worksheet, but I hope you're not doing worksheets. 3 years old follow through about 60 to 70% of the time. They will do as you ask 60 to 70% of the time. The other parts, 30 to 40% of the time, they say, nope. 4 years old, it's about 70 to 80% of the time. 5 years old is about 80 to 90% of the time. 6 years old, all the way through to adulthood, it's 90% of the time. It should never be more than that. Except you have a lot of kids by temperament who are people pleasers and will fall through 100% of the time. They also are the hardest to get to say no, to tell kids to cut it out, to walk away. So we have to teach those skills. Otherwise, you're authoritarian in your discipline. And we do not want that. I was talking about something else and now I don't remember. Anybody remember? Drunk squirrels. What I taught? Oh, I remember. So proud of myself. When I had Brennan, I emailed, called, and sent snail mail to, there were 32 at the time, 32 special ed directors. Nobody answered me. Not one person answered me. Not one. And I thought, I have to, right? And then only because I taught did I understand, right? I feel like if you're in behavior, you should have been a teacher first. If you're doing workshops, you should have been in the position of the people you're teaching. But some people just go straight up, right? They go right from, they don't ever teach the kids. I was in a situation where I had like 20 kids with challenging behaviors because we were an outdoor project-based school. And someone came in to help. I was like, I'll give you my whole paycheck if you just take me with you. I have diarrhea. I didn't know diarrhea was a thing at the time, but I should have used it then because I was like, oh my gosh. So I feel like you have to be in that situation. Right. I was in childcare for 10 years. We called it kindergarten because the school didn't have, our public schools were not full day kindergarten. Now it's not called kindergarten anymore. It's called older preschool because now they have full day kindergarten where I used to teach. So that's where I was going with that. Okay.
Meg, before you go on, did you want to share your PowerPoint at this time?
Oh, is it not shared?
It is not.
Why?
Sometimes it's hard to tell, so I wasn't sure if you were.
No, I had no idea it wasn't shared. Is it
Yeah.
now?
Yes, it is now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. I was gonna say ladies. I don't know if you're all ladies. Sorry, everybody. I thought, well, because when I came back on, it looked the same as when I went off. So when I turn off the camera, does it?
Because when I put the
Oh.
music on to share,
Oh, you know what? We're gonna blame Donna. It's Donna's fault.
it's
Right.
my fault.
Right.
Okay, I was like, I didn't do anything. Yeah, so there it is. There's developmental norms forever. Whoever asked, sorry that I assumed it was you, but it was Donna.
Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, this is the 50-year-old developmental norms.
Yeah, I threw you right under the bus.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know what? Donna still loves me. This was supposed to be a different day, and I did not know that. And I had.
But no, this is when you're at your 50-year-old developmental norms and you forget to tell people that you shut their stuff off.
At a 45 developmental norm, you forget and you schedule 2 workshops on one day at the same time.
But today's raining, so it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
It was meant to be. Yeah, Connie, when you thanked Donna at the beginning, I was like, yeah, thank you, Donna, for still loving me. I've only messed up 2 trainings ever. They've both been with Donna. Oopsies. Oh boy. Yep. Well, can't win them all. Luckily, she knows that we both have drunk squirrels, so she gets it. I would never do that on purpose. I was mortified both times, and I was thankful it was you guys and not somebody else, because there are some people that right couldn't change it or wouldn't or whatever. So
No stickers for you, Meg.
I know. You know what? Sticker chart right in the trash. That's where it should be anyway. But yep, no school economies for me. I can't earn tickets to get prizes from the Oriental Trading Company. The hardest thing is that you earn all those tickets and then you get crappy prizes. The prizes are awful. You'll get a pencil. I could get that. I could get a pack of those at the dollar store. Ugh. It's all dollar store stuff. Someone said, if you give a PS5, I might earn some tickets. That's what someone said. Oh, okay. Imagine how many tickets you need for a PS5. 4 million behavior tickets. All right, so 12 guiding principles. These principles, everybody know who Alfie Cohn is? He's amazing. He, unconditional parenting. I've adapted this list from his in unconditional parenting. He also, if you are not sold on my stickers, tickets, tokens, points, and clips, hold on, I have the book. Don, I'm going to pull you. I got it. Hold on. I knew right where they were on my shelf. It's because I've read them. I have a bookshelf of shame. So I have a lot of books that if you're like Meg, you should buy this book, I'll buy it. And then I have Drunk Squirrels, and then I put them in the shelf over there. And I pull them out when I need them. So this is the best book ever. Punished by Rewards by Elfie Cohn. This proves that these things don't, the research proves that those things don't work. They're short term, 4 to 6 weeks. I've never actually seen them last that long. But it's so good. Every time I start at the forward, even though, or the preface, even though I know what it's about. And I'm like, yes. I think one of my beach workshops, I actually was reading it, and then I was doing like a live, and then I was like, guys, listen to this. It's so good. And then people say, okay, well, it doesn't work with kids, but it works like, people tell me, well, it works in the real world. Like in the real world, it works. Okay. And that's not true either. Because Drive by Daniel Pink is the adult real world version of the Elfie Cohn one. Right? This one's education. This one is like, Connie, if you get 50 people to come to all the workshops for the whole year, you can earn a trip to Hawaii. You're like, whoop, but it doesn't actually work. So there is a little education piece in here, but it's mostly about business. So when people say, well, how are we going to get kids ready for the real world? Well, that stuff doesn't work in the real world either. Read the books. I mean, I didn't make up the books. I'm not the only one who has access to them. I don't. So when I see all these PBIS things, I'm always like, did you not read the book? Any of the books? There's tons of books that, and just ask the kids, right? If you really want to know, ask the children, ask the adults, ask the teachers. The teachers don't want to do it either. It's just something else they have to be in charge of. Oh, wait, you're getting stickers for this and you're getting stickers for that. And now I have to manage stickers and do toileting and do academics and do social emotional growth. And we have to go outside and we have to put on sunscreen and bug spray. And like, come on, you already have enough jobs. So let's do these 12 guiding principles. So be reflective. Self-reflection is huge, 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 huge. Except a lot of people don't even know really what that means. So I do, my challenging behavior workshop is also a self-reflective workshop. It's a twofer. It's a 2-for-1 because it's all about temperaments. So me being reflective looks different than my husband being reflective because we are, you almost always pick your opposite. We are opposites, my husband and I. I'm a drunk squirrel. He's a duck in a row. Very calm, cool, and collected. I'm always like, I mean, you don't have to, I wonder if Meg's sad or happy, or I wear it and I look it and I sound it. My husband can be like this. One day he came home and he goes, oh, I just have such a stomach ache because we had both started our own businesses and we were doing well. And I thought, we're doing it. We got this. This is so great. We have a baby. We're both have our own jobs and we haven't lost our house yet. And we still get to drive our cars. Psyched. And he's like, I have such a stomach ache because of the situation we're in right now. And I was like, what does that mean? But looked totally calm. Well, I was celebrating and like, wearing sparkles and throwing confetti. He like was dying inside. So how do we be reflective, right? How do we support each other? How do I know I can, are you ready? I'm intense and I can be too much for people. I did not know that. I did not know that till I was 37. I didn't know that was a thing till I was 37. Someone told me I was intense and I was like, what? I'm intense? They're like, do you think you're not intense? I was like, no. So now I have to be, and I always relate it to sea glass because I live on the ocean. So sea glass, right before it goes in, it's like all sharp and jagged. And that's how I can be sometimes. So, and then there's times I have to round it out. If I'm more friendly with you, I'm more jagged and my true colors come in. I know when I have to reflect. Public schools is when I have to round out my edges. They're less likely to like my intensity. So I have to round that out. It's like, right, I have to throw my glass in. It's got a tumble, which is like learning skills, reading people's faces and voices and tone and all that. And then acting accordingly. But when kids are at stake, my jagged edges come out. So I have to watch that. I have to be reflective of that and say like, ooh, okay, that was probably too close and too loud. And I mean, I'm loud. I have megaphones. I bought megaphones. So when I do videos, I can use the megaphones to be louder. And then people told me those megaphones are a lot. So my old self would have been like, good, I'm going to use them more because I'm feisty and intense. But as a reflective person now, I think now I put, if you see a megaphone on one of my videos on any of the my social media, it means that it's loud and it's going to be an intense message and I'm passionate about it. And my sharp edges are out. That's what it means. So I was trying to reflective, like, okay, so if you see that and you could scroll by it because I'm going to be a lot in that one. I tried at the very beginning to use my manners and be very soft spoken, and nobody listens to that. Nobody cares. You have to be, when kids are struggling, adults are struggling, we got to get this education system moving. We got to flip it over, or trash it and get a new one. I don't know. Move to Finland. They have their own problems probably there, but I think they do a better job. Reconsider your requests. As teachers and adults, sometimes we ask really dumb things. I'm not trying to be mean. I was in a school the other day. When I say the other day, it was yesterday or 11 years ago. And the kids had to sit at a table for lunch. And the teacher pushed them right in. So their bellies, they're like preschool toddler bellies, hit the table. And when they went like this to talk to their friends, they said, do not turn around, you will choke. It's not true. How many people right now have eaten while walking? What? I ate the last piece of toast I was having for a snack on my way up the stairs on my phone. And I didn't fall and get hurt. I mean, you wouldn't have a little kid do that, but I have figured out how to walk and eat and read my phone at the same time. So watch your request. What are we asking kids to do? Is it developmentally appropriate? Is it age appropriate? Is it appropriate at all? Right? Or kids who like need to stand eating up. Eating what? Need to stand up and eat? Stand eating up. If you need to stand up and eat, they're like, oh, that's unsafe. No, it's not. We get all flustered about safety, especially, but we make up safety rules. We yell, be careful all the time. Be careful, you're gonna fall. I have a kid who can climb a tree. He is like part monkey. He can climb a tree. And the school gets so concerned when he climbs the tree. He's gonna fall. Calls the parents to come and get him. And the dad's like, just stay there. He'll come down when he's ready. And the dad won't go pick him up anymore because they have to reconsider their requests. And I know the tree one is hard for people, but this kid is great at trees. And saying be careful, he already thinks he's careful. Right? Oh, make sure you hold on tight. That branch is a little thin. You're going to want to go towards the trunk, not at the edge. We don't want it to break. Those are the things we should be telling them, right? Except all the teachers are at the bottom like this. It's the best tree climber ever. Keep your eyes on the long-term goals. So this is what I tell parents and teachers, but parents mostly because they have the kids forever. You only have them for a year or a couple, is that we're playing the long game. The short game is stickers, tickets, tokens, points, and clips. That's the short game. The long game is figuring this out, getting new information, using the new information, learning and growing, right? I have some people that, all of you take a deep breath. I'm going to say something, you're not going to like it. Still do calendar. And I said, well, why do you do calendar? Because research shows it doesn't really, it's not. Research shows that calendar is good when you teach kids at 8. That's the developmental time to teach kids calendar. And it takes them 24 hours to learn if you teach them at 8 years old. Meanwhile, we've started teaching at like 2 and 3, and we teach all the way to 8. So it's been 6 years when we could have just taken a couple of weeks at 8 years old to do it. And I waited to teach my son calendar till it was 8, and it was less than 24 hours for him. So, but people say, but that's the way it's always been. I know, but we can't teach like 1985. We can barely teach like 2019. We have different kids and different things happening now. We have to teach like it's 2023, not even 2019, because we have kids that are really struggling. We have information that's not even pertinent anymore. When kids were having I have so many kids with anxiety now. I had like 2 ever before COVID. All of them have anxiety, and then they can't figure out why they can't focus on calendar or academics. I was like, I had a girl the other day that told me she's she will be in high school. She goes, I'm just not available to learn right now. Are you ready? I might cry. She found her sister dead in her bed. And she can't learn. She goes to school because she doesn't want to be at home with her thoughts. And when she comes to school, she has like earrings on and makeup on, and she's a beautiful girl. She just can't. She just said, I'm not available to learn right now. We're playing the long game with her. Okay, so what do we need to do? I'm like trying to find, I don't know what 15-year-olds like to do, but I am finding all the things that I think maybe, so she is not alone with her thoughts in the summer. I'm so scared for her in the summer because the house is having a hard time. Of course, because they're sisters and a daughter, and right. But we have to play the long game with her. We're going to give her stickers. If you just go to class, and I think it was so wonderful. She said, I just can't do it right now. Okay, so we're going to support you in a mental health capacity, socially, emotionally, so you can get to the point where you do learn. So keep your eyes on the long-term goals. That's really hard as the kids get older because there's so many things they have to do, especially with standardized tests. But when they're little, it's a long-term goal. The 3-year-old can't do this right now. But in family childcare, you have the 3-year-old maybe a couple of years. You could teach them, right? Celebrate the growth, right? Slow it down. Don't rainbow around. Don't go from he can't do this to I want him to be able to. There's not a strategy that proves that does that. There is one strategy. You're not going to like it. There's a strategy that will get a kid to, okay, so he's dysregulated. He has big emotions. Can everybody think of that kid? And he goes to huge, big, fast, and he's physical. That's the one that everybody hates. So how do I get him not to do that? You ready? Ready for the big strategy? Everybody wants me to have it because I'm the behavior girl. Hit him and do it hard. And then everybody's like, what? Can't hit kids. Okay, so it's off the table. You can't hit them and you can't do it hard. But if you did hit them and you did hit them hard, they probably wouldn't do that anymore. So you'd win. You get to your goal. But what is it? What does it feel like in your body? What else can you do? How do you show it with your hands, your feet, or your mouth? Replace hands or feet or mouth, inappropriate stuff with appropriate stuff. Co-regulate. Role model. Role play. Like, right? Until you get to here. That's not going to be 3 years, 1 month. It might be 5. It might be, we're going to die dysregulated. I'm going to die impulsive. It's just the way I roll. It's just going to happen. I'm better at it now, if you can imagine. Imagine me at 5. I was like, what? We're at a dance party all the time. The music was in my own head. So keep your eye on the prize. It's long term. You're playing the long game. You have to remind yourself that over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? Put relationships first. Remember, they're your best behavior strategy. There are kids you are not going to like. I know the temperament that is hard for me. You know what the funny thing is? I married it. The kids that are hard for me are the exact temperament my husband has. What? Is that fair? I found it cute at some point. Found it cute. I wanted to marry it. And now when I see it in a kid, I'm like, ooh. It's the kids who can't take my charisma or don't want my charisma or energy or humor or lighthearted fun piece. They're just like, ugh. They want none of that. And I was like, oh man. And it's so hard for me to get out of that, to go into putting relationships first with this kid. I have to adjust differently. But my elastic, right, can stay, right? When I see this kid, I'm like, okay, my elastic's really, now how do I keep it like that for a long period of time? That's self-care. That's wellness. That's rejuvenation. Otherwise, what happens? You go, And then you lose the relationship with the kid. And stickers, tickets, tokens, points, and clips, if we're in charge of giving or taking them away, it hurts our relationships always. Because what if I gave them all to you at the beginning, and then as you turn off your cameras, or you're out and then you come back in and your sound is on, I start taking stuff away. Do you like me anymore? I mean, I was told I was here because people requested me, which I love, by the way. But you're probably not going to request me again if I start doing that to you, right? Start putting you into this game piece thing. You'd be like, you would request not to have me. Meg stinks. Can we not have her? Her diarrhea was funny, but other than that, we don't want her anymore. So change how you see it, not just how you act, meaning chase the why. All behaviors communication. Why does a kid keep doing it at a certain time? Why does a kid keep doing it? And why do I keep getting the same, right, big emotion? We have to chase the why. And that is a long game thing. That is a teach skills, meet needs, time, and patience. A lot of people would be like, right, in education, we're so data happy. What did it happen? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Why does it keep repeating itself? You'll probably in the why answer the how, who, what, where, when. You'll probably answer those. But why is your best question. Respect. I think that's obvious, but because they're little bodies, I've seen kids given little respect. And I'm like, why? Why? So make sure we're respecting them. Respect what they know, who they are, where they come from. When we don't understand or we don't know the why, ask more questions. Right? That's number 8. I skipped the number 7 for a second, but talk less, ask more. Ask more questions. If you ask kids, if kids are having a hard time, say, I noticed you came in kind of upset this morning. If you want to tell me why, that'd be great. I'm here to listen. Asking questions to kids. I had the girl who found her sister dead, and she's like, I want to tell you something. I said, okay. And she was having a hard time. I said, you could tell me anything. And I said, and so she said she hears her sister's voice in her head. I said, okay, okay. Why do you think that happens? Where do you, right? I was getting the where, the why, like trying to ask questions so I could understand it better instead of just saying, yeah, probably because you have trauma, right? I mean, I was trying to get her to open up. And when kids don't answer, say, that could be a question we come back to. And there's something about writing it down. So if you ask a kid a question and they don't answer, I'm going to write that one down. That's a pretty good question, but I think you need time to think about it. So you're gonna write it down. It also happens with kids who like want a toy, but they can't have the toy. When they, Donna, I got her. Donna heard voices. It was like, it's me. That was my job. I got her, Donna. Oh boy. Oh, well, when they want a toy. And you're like, what? You want that toy? What, the R2D2 one? Okay, so-and-so wants the R2D2 toy. When did you want it? You want it now, but when could you have it next? Oh, when you wake up from nap. When you wake up from nap. Do you want me to say anything else? And then you put the Post-it somewhere, or you know what a lot of kids do? They put it in their backpack. And then they're over the R2D2 toy. They just want you to, like, it's like a way of listening to them, right? Number 7 is be authentic. Here's the voice that makes me crazy. Ready? I'm gonna do it so hard. When you hit him, he's so sad. That voice makes me want to poke my eyeballs out. Anybody? It's called Mother Ease. Wah, 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 wah. You get that at 6 months old. Once they become 7 months, you're done. You have to be done. It makes me, and because if you have me as a kid and you use that voice, in my head, I think I'm going to win every time with her. She's never holding ground. She's never drawing the line in the sand. She's never going to be firm and neutral. I win every time. And if you only do it for that 10%, so that temperament is 10% of the population, it will be much better. The hard thing is that the people we attract to early childhood has that really sweet, sensitive, nurturing, empathetic, compassionate, loving nature. Awesome. We also tend to talk like that. Come on, friends, come to circle. Circle's gonna be so fun. And my temperament's like, I'm not even your friend. I don't like you. Why do you talk like that? So know that, be authentic. Here's another one. Hey, Donna, good job. I can't even say good job. So it sounds like I mean it. Good job. Nope. Good job. Nope. Mine's always like, what? You're going to do that today. When I woke up this morning, I didn't think Jesse was going to tie his shoes. Did you know that? Tie your shoes on a Thursday? We should write that down. I don't want to forget to tell your mom. See how that's authentic? And not like, tied your shoes? Good job. He's thinking like, that's the same thing you'd say if I didn't pee in my pants, right? Like tying your shoes is like a 5-year excursion adventure. Did everybody remember the first time they tied something? I had a black and white plaid dress on in kindergarten, and there was a tie around it, and it used to be tied in my back. That was the style. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm doing it in the front. And I tied it, and I actually tied it. And I went up to my kindergarten teacher. I was like, I tied it. She goes, good job. Then turned around and walked away. I was like, no, you need to throw a party. I need sparkles and confetti. I'd like a donut if that's possible. Donnie, you keep seeing Heidi's coming in. I don't know if she's having technical difficulties. She keeps coming in, and then I mute her, and then she keeps, which is fine. I just don't know if she's struggling.
Well, we did have a big, huge storm last night. So I think that there might be areas with like branches and places that might be having some issues.
Okay. I just didn't know if you wanted to talk to her because I keep letting her in and then she comes in and I don't even know if she came in this time.
Yeah, I'll send her a message.
Okay. You don't even think she came in. So be authentic. I think that is, my behavior, the behavior field is math and science based. Those are my 2 worst subjects. I cheated out of all of that in school. And now I'm in the profession that is math and science based, but I flipped it to relationships. And I think I'm good at it and kids really like me. I had a few schools this year that used me as a test to see if it would if I could do what they needed me to do. And I'm a little bit, out of the box. Okay. A lot of bit out of the box, kind of edgy in the behavior field. I don't go the same path as everybody else. So everybody has to test me first. Just know that I've won all the tests. Why? Because I'm authentic. The kids come to me. I have kids. So in this school I was at yesterday, there are kids that I see every other week. When I see them in the hallway or when I see them in the classroom or they come to my office, is it my week this week? I said, do you want it to be, bud? Do you have something to say to me? Yep. And there's like a line out the door. And people are like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if they think it's their week or they want to talk to me. And they were like, huh. So I just got the email when I was just on break getting my toast that I'm welcome back next year because I've got positive feedback. It's because of my relationships and because of my authenticity. Because it's not often you have to deal with kids that have some of these problems I've had to deal with. And I'm just like, oh, that's tough. You probably feel pretty crappy about that, huh? Like, right. And I'm just real. And I know, like Alyssa's seen me in real life. Gail's seen me in real life. Connie and John have seen me in real life. This is how I am in real life. I'm like this on social media. I'm like this here. I'm authentic. I am like this all the time. Sleeping, I'm kind of funny when I sleep. I'm always like, so the authenticity is huge. Kids will read it. There are some kids that's not in their wheelhouse to read it. There are other kids that will. And know that my temperament, if you use the was a voice, I'm going to win every time. I'm going to be so determined to win. Number 9, keep their ages in mind. Just like the developmentally appropriate stuff. Right? Keep their ages in mind. They're teachers that are like, why can't they? Because they're 3. Oh, they keep peeing in their pants. Well, I feel like if you don't like pee pantsers, then you should not be a toddler teacher. You know why I wasn't a toddler teacher? I do not like potty training. I pottied one time. It was my own son and he was really easy. But you can't make kids write this down. Eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, or talk. So if you do not have, if you're not playing the long game, and you're not teaching skills and meeting needs, and you're not using time and patience, potty training will be awful for you. Teaching kids to eat in a certain amount of time at lunch or at snack, it's going to be awful for you. Nap time, you don't want to poke your eyeballs out and work at Walmart. It just won't, it will be so hard for you because you can't make kids do those things. You can't make kids talk. So forced apologies out. Say you're sorry to so-and-so. And what does it sound like? Sorry. No, say it like you mean it. So they do this. Sorry. But it also means you can't keep kids from screaming. You can't keep kids from talking. You can't make kids talk. Kids that like have stuffed it and they have a problem, but they don't want to tell you because they're afraid they'll get in trouble or you won't take them seriously. I had the school I went to yesterday that I got accepted to be next year. There's a girl who likes boys and girls, and she told her mom, she'd like, okay, tell my mom. She told her mom, and her mom goes, no, you don't. And now she's so petrified to tell her dad. And I was like, right, and because I'm real and authentic, I was like, just wear a lot of rainbow stuff. Maybe they'll just figure it out. and they're like, well, but you've always said you liked boys. And she's like, yeah, because I knew you'd be mad if I liked girls too. So she like faked it, right? So keep their ages in mind. Know that we're not trying to do things. So another one of these is we have to get them ready for kindergarten. 4-year-olds ready for kindergarten. If you're getting them ready for kindergarten, you're missing the year that they're 4. You're getting them ready for the future, but you're missing the present. So that's like when you're pregnant, waking up in the middle of the night while you're pregnant, you have not had the baby yet, and feeding the baby and swaddling it and rocking it back and forth as if it was crying and needed to be fed, just so you could get ready for when you're pregnant and the baby wakes up in the middle of the night. Did anybody do that? It's like my mom's hip replacement. She had that big potty and she had like the walker. She didn't use those prior to the hip replacement because she didn't need them. She figured out how to use them after. I figured out how to wake up in the middle of the night and work on no sleep after I had my son. You learn to sit in kindergarten and do the stuff in kindergarten when you're in kindergarten. Because when you're teaching them when they're 4, you're in a totally different environment with different schedule and rules and people and expectations. So you can't get them ready because it's all going to change when they get to the next place. I always joke, well, how do you, like, if you're 90, we're going to get you ready to die? So what do you just lay on your couch for a half hour, hold your breath for 30 seconds at a time, cross your arms and legs, make sure you don't move, right? Like, we're not getting kids ready for anything. So keep their ages in mind. We're not getting 3-year-olds ready to be 4, we're not getting 4-year-olds ready to be 5. I see it when it's from childcare to public school. We feel like we have to get them ready for something. They'll figure it out when they get there, just as we all did. Don't stick your nose in unnecessarily. No, stop, don't, can't, and wait are things that we have to take out of our vocabulary. No and stop are for danger. A kid is running out. Your home is near busy road and they're running. No! Stop. And they, oh, I've never heard that before. Well, she sounds mad. Oh, I should turn around. I should look at her. There's a temperament that gets no and stop all the time. We're going to change it to the yes environment. If you want, I will give you that one for free. I have a yes environment workshop. You just have to email me. You individually have to email me, not Donna or Connie, but you have to email me and say, I'd love your Yes Environment workshop. I'll give you the free code and you can get it. It's another hour professional development. And you just, because that one's really important. So when kids say, can I have a cookie while you're making the macaroni and cheese for dinner? And it's 5, and you're thinking, why are you asking me for a cookie? And you want to be like, obviously no. There are some kids that knee-jerk reaction to no. Do you know them? The minute you say no, it's like, so a cookie, slow it down. Slow it down. A cookie. Those are good, right? Get a plate and get a cookie and put it so we can see it, so we don't forget after dinner that you could have it. But you got to slow it down. Otherwise, you will get a knee-jerk reaction. Don't be rigid. I think behavior people are made rigid. I think that's the way they are. When we focus on science as our sole way of constructing behavior strategies,
This is where the research part came in.
we sorry, squirrel. We have we're inflexible and rigid because the science says this will happen. I need to get there as fast as I can. And that's not how it works. Because remember, we're working with what? Humans and children who need to be taught skills and have needs met. But if we're rigid, so we're in the box, you're going to get kids out of the box. I was always a kid out of the box. I was always the one who picked the project. I was never the one that did the regular work. I always had to do like something a little bit different. I don't stay in the box now. I don't even do behavior in the box now. But rigidity is really tough. For kids, it's also if you have like I've been to some houses where everything is labeled and everything needs to go that way, but they have kind of a woo, free-spirited kind of, I'll put stuff away kid, but it doesn't really go where you labeled it. And I'm 3 and I can't even read what that says. And the mom's like, gets so mad because it's not put away right. Well, they put it away. Right? You gotta kind of like, it's all right. If it's not put away, I mean, if you could see, I mean, I have piles everywhere. I feel like it's called lived in, right? Anybody else have a lived in house? Yeah. So watch the rigidity and inflexibility. It's really hard. That's where self-reflection is good. Don't be in a hurry. Remember, slow it down. I am always in a hurry. I'm fast-paced. I'm chop. It only that in me only makes emotions get bigger if I wasn't able to self-reflect and slow it down. Okay, so authoritative caregivers. I kind of do this fast because we have 15 minutes, 17 minutes. Act, don't talk. Are you ready? So stop talking and just buckle the seatbelt. This is hard. Don't say, I'm going to leave without you. 5 more minutes and then I'm going to pick them up and leave the park. Remove the toy that's being fought over. I always take it. I'm like, I'm going to hold this while we talk about it. We don't say, can I have it? Can I? And if the kid has it and it's like a grip, right? I put my hand on it and I said, I'm going to hold this. And then I bring it closer to me. The kid's hand can still be on it. But sometimes the talking just allows kids to continue to do what they're doing. Just act and do it as gently as you can, right? Don't be grabbing stuff. Grabbing is actually the thing that makes emotions go biggest, fastest, I think. If a kid's on an iPad and you're like, iPad time's done, and you go to take the iPad from them, you know what I always think it's like? It's like turning off. I think for kids, it's like turning off the Notebook. Have you ever watched the Notebook? Turning off the Notebook at like the part you find out that they, like the big part of the movie, and you're like, wait, who did she pick? The fiance or the one she loved when she was younger? Well, you just gonna turn it off? But I don't know who wins, right? That's kind of what it's like when kids are in the middle of something. My son always goes, I just need another minute, mommy. I said, okay, bud, thanks for letting me know. And then you have to not be like, but I said it's time now. That's going to get you in trouble. It's going to make you take it. Almost every time that a kid has been taken something from them, the emotions have gotten big. So you got to slow it down. And if it is an act situation, you're going to do it. You're still going to do it in a slower manner. I really need the iPad, and you're going to put your hand on it. We really need to stop it right now. You're not going to take it, but you're going to be close and you're going to hold it. Follow through. Oh, that one's so hard. Remember, you have to be thoughtful in your language. Otherwise, you're going to be following through on weird stuff. My husband one time said, if you don't pick those up, I'm going to throw all your toys away. First of all, the garbage can's not big enough. And we bought all the toys. I mean, they're Brennan's toys, but I paid a lot of money for those toys. Don't be throwing them away. I scoured Facebook Marketplace for all those Legos. Please don't throw them away. And he was like, oh, I was just mad. I said, okay, well, that's what you have to tell Brennan. You know what, bud? I'm not going to throw your toys away. I was just angry because you weren't doing it fast enough, and I should have slowed down. The best strategy is actually, so not the be firm or kind or firm and neutral. That's important. But the next one, the person who can and must change is the teacher or parent. We have the education and experience to do it. So if you have a child that's having a hard time, and after each time, the best strategies are the ones you can come up with for yourself in your self-reflection. You know what? I rushed him. I grabbed the iPad. I was probably not firm and kind. I was probably firm and mean. Oh, I was sarcastic, and he probably saw that as mean. I got too close too fast. It is the adult's job to do what we can to change it. And this is the thing I almost never see, but it will almost make every situation better. I almost never see it. Adults won't do it. I will do it. It's also why I'm good at what I do. Is if I mess up, it is really hard. I stick my tail between my legs and I talk about it with the child. So say a child was mad. I'm trying to think what Brennan the other day was slow. And I was like, dude, we have to go to school. Let's go. And he ended up like teary-eyed, and we got in the car, and I was like, you know what? If we were late for school, it doesn't really matter. We're always early for school. If we had one day, nobody'd be mad. I don't know why I was rushing you. Sorry, bud. Next time I'm going to take a deep breath, or I'm going to look at the time and slow it down. I'm really sorry, but I hate to see you so upset in the morning, because now I'm going to leave you and I'm going to feel like kind of crummy all day. I said, I'm going to work harder on it next time. Because it's okay, mommy. Thank you for apologizing. I love you. You're the best mama. But only because I stuck my tail between my legs, right? It is so hard when teachers make mistakes or adult makes mistakes and we just don't say anything. Because we expect kids to apologize to each other, yet it's so hard as an adult to do it to a kid. But it almost always will fix the situation for the better. Almost always. Give children permission to make mistakes, be imperfect, and try again. That's why none of those fear-based strategies, I call all the stickers, tickets, tokens, points, and clips fear-based strategies. That's why they don't work. So you can't ever make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you don't get a thing. And if you don't get a thing, you don't get the big thing. And then you're a bad kid. Learn to change yourself instead of trying to control others and make them change. So self-reflection. And make sure kids help on making the rules in the classroom. The only negative one is hurting will not be tolerated in this classroom or in this house or in this school. Hurting will not be tolerated. But otherwise, and you only want 3 to 5 rules, but kids have to have some say in them. Even if they're funny, even if they're a funny rule, like no eating donuts on the floor, you were like, yeah, right. Because that's like, then you eat like germ donuts. I don't know if those are good. Yes. Did we know yesterday was donut day? I'm gluten-free, so I can't eat donuts. So sad. I'd have to go and find like a gluten-free donut. That's a pain in the butt. Wait, I lost where it was. Okay, here we go. Think before talking. That's the, remember that when you're emotional, things will come out, like I'm going to throw all your toys away. You can't go to Disney World. Slow it down. Be thoughtful in speech. Otherwise, you're going to have to do the tail between the legs, make the apology. Chase the Y. Replace punishment with information and opportunities. That's important, right? That's teacher skill meet a need. Hold classroom or family meetings and let them know if you're going to change something significant, like we're not having 17 books anymore at bedtime, or I'm not going to rub your back at nap time, which I think is okay, but it's just what I thought of. Then you can't tell them at nap time or at bedtime. You have to tell them before. Okay, you know what? You know what we're not going to do anymore? We're not reading 17 books. There's going to be 3 books, and that is it. I'm not going to give in, and I'm going to follow through with this. It's 3 books. When you ask me for 4, I'm going to remind you it's 3. We have to be sturdy leaders. Anybody know Dr. Becky at Good Inside? If you don't, write her down. She's amazing. So Dr. Becky at Good Inside will say that we have to be a sturdy leader. Like, kids have to count on us to say it's going to be 3 books and then follow through on 3 books. Otherwise, when we get to 4, we're like, then we could get to 17. If we got to 4, I could keep going, right? I have to count on you to be able to be sturdy and follow through with what you say. Offer choices, set limits. Children need parameters. Oh, we are not doing this. So the thing now is there is permissive parenting and then there's gentle parenting. It is, if you do not know and you are having a hard time, you mix them. And permissive parenting becomes gentle parenting. So there's a lot of people that are like, gentle parenting, ugh! And I was like, oh, that's permissive parenting. They are not the same. I'm more on the side of gentle behavior, but I'm not permissive behavior. But they're really tricky to do to see side by side when you don't have all the information, right? New information is another one of your best strategies. Don't keep using the same information. That's what's happening with these behavior games. They're using the same information, they keep recycling it instead of getting new information. Like, this does not work. Use encouragement over praise. So, right, we talked about the good jobs. You need 4 times more encouragement than praise. So instead of good job, saying like, you know what? I knew one of these days I could see your fine motor skills really, really strengthening. You were like so close to tying your shoe. I can't believe it was today. You know what? That's what I'm looking for. Someone who finds something hard and doesn't give up and keeps going until they get it. When kids tied their shoes, when kids tied their shoes, I always used to ask them how many cartwheels they wanted me to do. I pulled my armpit one time doing a cartwheel. And I said I could be between 1 and 10. Nobody ever picked less than 10. It was always 10 cartwheels when they learned to tie their shoes. And I was like, yeah. And I sang the song with the kids that wanted it out loud. Otherwise, I just like gave, right, there are some kids that would be embarrassed, but I sang the song. I remember when you couldn't do that. I remember when you couldn't do that. I remember when you couldn't do that, when you couldn't do that at all. That's what I used to sing. Everybody know Bev Boss and Tom Hunter? Tom Hunter, well, they both have since died, but that's their song. They would, and then when you would sing it to those kids, they would be like, and the other kids would like cheer on. And there were some kids that were like, please don't sing that song. That's embarrassing. I was like, and I sing terribly, but right. So encouragement, not just a good job and move on. Catch what they do, talk about it. That's how you get that repeated behavior. Okay, natural and logical consequences in 6 minutes. Ready, go. I always put so much into a workshop because I think, what happens if I'm done early? Just so you know, in 11 years, I've never been done early, ever. And I've always had, I'm not sure I've ever gotten through all the slides, minimal times. So natural consequences are important. They are what comes first. If a natural consequence happens and it is safe, we use it. They're not going to eat snack, but you've offered them snack because we have to. You can, if they don't eat, then they're hungry. It's raining outside, guys. If you don't wear your raincoats outside, you're probably going to get wet. I don't want to wear my raincoat. Might want to bring it. Not bringing it. So what do? It's the hardest for adults because you want to carry it. or force them into it. They go outside and what happens? They get wet. They either don't care and then come in and change and it's fine. And why did we fight in the first place? Or they get wet and they do care and they wish they had their raincoat. They'll bring it next time. It's the quickest. As long as we don't step in, which is so hard. And it's really hard because the parents that you service have to know that you're doing natural consequences. But if he doesn't wear a coat outside, he's going to freeze. He's going to get hypothermia. He's going to catch a cold. First of all, we don't go outside when it's 20 below. And because you don't wear a coat and it's cold outside, that's not how germs are formed. Anybody else's mother do that? My mom does it all. He's going to be cold and catch a cold. Mom, those are not the same. Oh, I don't know how many times I've told her in 11 years. He doesn't wear like a germ coat. He wears a coat to keep him warm. If he doesn't wear a coat, he's cold. He doesn't get germs. Germs can be had when he wears a coat. But it's right. You get sick because of germs, not because of your body temperature being outside. When you don't eat dinner, you're hungry. That's a question I get. When you go to bed late, you're going to be tired in the morning, right? We have to let them happen. So hard. So when they are unsafe, we use logical consequences. So logical consequences have to be, at the last bullet here, have to be reasonable, respectful, and related. That is the thing I get the most amount of questions on. So if your child does not do their homework, they don't miss dinner. Doing homework and missing dinner are not connected, right? If they trying to think of one. Related wise, it has to be related. So you don't take, you don't take the technology away for everything. If they don't eat dinner, you don't take the technology away. Unless they stay at the table long enough to finish the dinner, because that's the rule, then they used up the time for technology. Then it's logical. But if you don't eat your hamburger, you're not going to have iPad time. We just know that's the thing that gets the kid to eat the hamburger, but it's not related. Reasonable means that we don't. Reasonable means there's like a 0 to 100. Like whining is a 2. We can't treat it as if it's 100. Right? It's my hot button, so I'm more apt to treat it as like a 75. When it's just whining, it's not really a big deal. There's no safety involved. It just makes my ears bleed. And respectful is that know that it's teacher skill meet a need, and they're working on it. Right? Instead of saying like, you never eat the hamburgers, you never eat, and you waste food, and I'm sick of it. You just never eat. And every time I make dinner, I think so-and-so's not going to eat dinner. Right? That's not respectful. I wonder if that hamburger's too big and maybe we should start with a half. And if we start with a half and you're still hungry, maybe you could have the other half. Right? That's more respectful. Or if kids steal something, don't be a little klepto, right? Heard that before. Saying like, oh, you really love that stapler. I need you to give it back. It's mine. We don't steal things that aren't ours. It's better than kid always steals. He's such a klepto, right? So logical consequences are what I get the most questions on. So logical consequences are future focused, right? We're teaching them a skill so they won't do it in the future. Know that right time and patience is a thing. And so people are like, what do I do when a kid, I just had a teacher say this. So when kids don't do their work, what's the logical consequence? I said, how old are the kids? High school. Me coming up with a consequence for your high school kids is probably not going to work out very good. You have to ask the kids, what happens when we don't do work? What could the consequence be? They're 15 to 18 years old. They have consequences that they can talk to you about. And they're more apt to listen to them and follow them through when they're the ones who made them. But we have to, again, slow down and figure it out. All right, I think. And then the last one is timeouts. We're going to be on a break, but just know that I'm just going to read you the first thing. I don't know if anybody knows Brene Brown. If you don't, you should write her down. Again, with like Alfie Kohn, Brene Brown, Dr. Becky are my favorites. So timeouts use shame, guilt, and suffering to motivate children. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Right? So when you take a break with a kid, you are with them. A timeout means you put them in. I was put in timeout when I was 5, and they told me to think about what I did, which was knock on the window and wave at my friends. That's what I got in trouble for. And I was in the corner because I was in kindergarten in 1985. And that was the thing you did. It's in the corner, and they said, think about what you did. So I thought about it, and then I peed on my teacher. Because I had all that time to think about what to do. And I remember like making the pee almost come out. I remember like loosening my body so it would, right? Because when you're potty trained, it's really hard to pee like on command when you know you shouldn't. And that's what happened. I peed on her. And then she got so mad, and I thought to myself, put me in the corner, told me to think about it. I had a lot of time to think about how to orchestrate this little adventure. She was so angry. And she had like light blue pants on, and they were dark blue in one spot, and she smelled like pee. Which was so great. So that's the end. So if you, I don't know, should I ask for questions? Are there questions? You would have told me, right?
Right. There are no questions in the chat.
Okay. I just keep seeing the number go up to 29, so maybe people are just commenting. I don't know.
And if anyone does have any questions and you want to put it in the break, will you be leaving right now, Meg, or are you coming back after the break, or are you going to be
I am leaving now, but I can come back after the break if people have questions. I can stay till 11, right? So if they have questions, we don't ask somebody else.
right? I know, right? Right. Okay, we do. Oh, can you go over
we
the
can
3
also,
authors you mentioned again?
Oh, the 3 authors. Yes. So Alfie Kohn, right? Where's his book? It's because his name's spelled weird. Not spelled weird, but everybody spells it Cohen, and it's Kohn. So Alfie Kohn. He's amazing. Wait for it. I have it. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh. I get another sticker on my chart, Connie.
Yay.
Dr. Becky Goodinside. She's amazing. And Brene Brown. I have one over there too, but Brene is, it's on the thing. So, Brene Brown.
All right. Thank you so much, Meg.
Welcome.
Yeah, no more questions are coming in, and we don't want to, take up too much of your time. We want to be respectful of your time as well. But thank you so much for being here.
Yay. I had so much fun.
Everyone loves it when you share your knowledge. You have so much knowledge on this. So thank you. And thank you, everyone. And we will just going to take a break until 11 o'clock, and then we will come back and we are going to turn it over to Dee Dee Thurber, and we're going to talk about Choose Love.
Yay.
and I'm super excited for this portion. And I'm going to let Dee Dee go.
Thanks so much, Donna. Thank you guys all for being here on this, I guess, a little rainy Saturday morning. Meg is a tough act to follow. She had so much great information. A lot of what she has shared is really kind of the route that we're going, even with our trainings for our training calendar, throughout the year. A lot of it talking about, wellness, self-awareness. What we put out there is really going to shift or change what we might get back in all of our relationships, whether it's the relationships you have with the families that you work with the kids that are in your settings, So I think this is a kind of a good segue from what Meg was sharing, because there's a lot of crossover and carryover. Before we get started, though, we're going to do a quick little stretch break. I know you guys probably got up and walked around. We're just going to do a couple of specific stretches, a little brain gym movements to kind of help us come back and get focused for this last hour together. So if you can reach your hands up and just stretch and reach like you're touching the ceiling. With the young kids, I always said, reach for the sky, which is Buzz Lightyear, Woody, Toy Story. And then you're going to reach one hand up and then the other one. And then just do a couple of stretches like that. An inhale and an exhale. And then both arms up again. And then just bring your hands down. And you're going to turn your chin over one shoulder. Nice deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And then back to the center and over the other shoulder. Nice inhale and exhale. And then that chin's going to come down to the chest and just go right across to the other shoulder. Do that a couple times. Kind of like if you had a pencil on your chin, you're drawing a smiley face right across the front there. Inhale and exhale. And then right back to the center. And we're going to go to our ears. This is thinking cap. You're doing a little unfolding of your ear where it's folded over at the top. And just do that unfolding and a gentle pull all the way down to the bottom to your earlobe. So unfold up at the top. We'll do that 3 times. This is thinking cap. And one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Awesome. Then we're going to take our arms out as wide as you can go. And you're going to stretch one way. Keep that breathing going. And then the other way. And then back to the center, and we're going to give ourselves the greatest, most wonderful self-hug that we can as we step into choosing love. And last time, inhale and exhale, and just do a little shake out, and we are ready to go. I know that during the year, Connie had invited me to the Family Childcare Collaborative. So I know I recognize some names and faces from that collaborative and other collaboratives I've jumped on with Choose Love. It's a message that really isn't going to go away because it's one of those, I think that just needs to be revisited. The program is a great program to step into. Many of you know, I might have shared that we stepped into it when I came on board for the Child Care Aware team. We do a Monday reflection, where we talk about if we've stepped into the courage, the character values, which are courage, gratitude, compassion, action, and forgiveness, over the weekend or during the week in our work. So that's one of the ways that we actually had started to implement Choose Love here. And so what I have to share with you, and I'm going to give you a little bit more information about Choose Love if you haven't heard of it. And there is the short video with Scarlett Lewis, who founded Choose Love, so that you can have that background. But as we go, I'm going to just share quick little snippets of ways that you can implement Choose Love. And I always recommend that you kind of look at it for yourself first before sharing it out with, the kids that you work with or the families that you work with. So Choose Love is for everyone. I kind of created this because I think initially Choose Love, it really did start out being for, teachers, educators, and that really is kind of because of how the movement started. So Scarlett Lewis started the movement after her son, Jesse Lewis, was killed in the Sandy Hook shooting down in Connecticut. And she knew that there was a better way. She knew that shooting happened because of a very angry young man. And she did not want to stay stuck in the place or in the role of being a victim and wanted to do something about it. So that's how she created the Choose Love movement. And initially they created, and they're still out there on their website, all lesson plans for like birth up through 12th grade, but the program has really expanded to police departments, fire departments. Our prison system here in New Hampshire is actually implementing the program. They have a program for using at home for coaches. And there's workshops that you can bring into for your workplace, which is more of maybe for a corporation. So again, I want to kind of show you a few things that you can easily incorporate into your day. See how the whole formula fits into everything that you do. And again, the implementation strategies is what we're going to go over. So the first character value is courage. And if you have the courage to either jump off of mute or put something in the chat, and maybe Donna or Connie, you could read the chat, is what do you think about when you hear the word courage? What comes to your mind? Any thoughts? Besides, it will take courage for you to speak.
We've got strength.
Yeah.
Oh, the opposite of me. There's one comment. Bravery
work
when
on
there
that.
is a risk.
Yes. Yep.
Stepping up to something that makes you uncomfortable.
That's a big one, because that really is a big part of courage. Awesome. Thank you for putting that in.
Putting yourself out there to do something for someone else.
Awesome.
And doing something that you are not really familiar with and trying anyway.
You guys just hit the nail on the head with all of those.
Right.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So when Scarlett created this movement, it's kind of both, she purposely put courage as the first character value and asks people to teach courage first, and asks you as an individual, if you're stepping into the character values, to look at courage first. And with all of those pieces that everybody just shared, that might give you a good indication of the why around that, right? Because it actually takes courage to step into the other character values, to step into your gratitude and speaking gratitude, to step into forgiveness, the courage to forgive yourself, right? It takes courage to do that, but courage to forgive others as well. The compassion and action piece. So you can have compassion, and a lot of people have compassion, but it's really the inaction, the action part of that you really need to actually call on your courage to be able to do the action, right? Because that means that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something, sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone to do something for somebody else. And I'll give you a quick example of what that might look like. When you see a car stopped on the side of the road that you know they might be having some kind of a trouble, do you often think in your head, oh gosh, I really would like to stop, or I should stop, but you don't stop? And what keeps you from stopping, right? There's a lot of a list that can go through in your head, but you have the compassion. You're like, oh, gosh, I see that they're stopped. I wonder what's going on. I hope they're okay. I hope their car's okay. The action part would be stopping and seeing, do you need help, right? Are you okay? Do you need a phone? Whatever. Most days people do have a cell phone that they can call for help, but sometimes it's always a good thing just to follow up. And I know I've had that happen to me where somebody stopped and they were pretty sure that there was nothing that they could do, but they stopped anyway and said, hey, is there anything I can do to help? And the answer was no, I think we're good. And it was a little bit of a different situation. But you know what? It meant so much to myself and to the other person I was with that person actually took the time to stop just to say, hey, do you need anything? Can I help you? So that's a huge thing. And you could tell that he was a little bit even uncomfortable getting out of his car and asking, but he did it anyway. So that's the courage piece around it, right? You know what? I'm going to step through. I'm feeling uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to actually step out and kind of go and ask and see if anything's needed. So that's kind of the piece about where it really takes courage to step into the compassion and action part. So here's a quick definition of courage. Courage is the willingness and ability to work through obstacles despite feeling embarrassment, fear, reluctance, or uncertainty. So that's like a perfect description of what courage is all about. So we are going to work Choose Love. If you guys have heard me speak of it before, there's a breath for each character value, and for courage, there's a brave breath. So I would like to have you guys join me in doing the brave breath. And what I'm going to do is read it to you. If I can find the brave breath. There's 4, and I picked everyone but the brave breath. Okay. So if you want to close your eyes, and then I'm going to kind of guide you through with the card for this. So I put one hand on my heart. I put the other hand on my belly. I take a full deep breath through my nose like I am smelling something really good, like cookies or popcorn. When I breathe in, I let the air fill my belly, making it rise. So go ahead and do that breath and fill your belly with air. And then I breathe out, and all the air through my mouth comes out like I'm blowing a bubble. So you can exhale, or blowing on a hot cocoa. So again, breathe in, fill your belly with air, and breathe out like you're blowing a bubble or blowing on a cup of hot cocoa or hot chocolate. I breathe like this a few more times until I feel more peaceful and courageous. And then there's always affirmations that go with this. So while I'm breathing, I can say positive things like, I am courageous, I am safe, I can do it, I am calm, and this will help me to focus my thoughts in a good way to make me feel better and to step into my courage. So that's the brave breath. Okay, so the next character value, what do you think about when you hear the word gratitude? Go ahead and throw what you feel kind of describes gratitude in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. You guys were rock stars for courage. I want to see what you're going to say for gratitude.
All right, we have thankful,
Mhm.
happiness for what you are given or worked for, an expression of thanks, thankful for just being alive,
Beautiful.
appreciation for what you have, being thankful and showing appreciation,
Awesome.
emotional.
Yeah. So I have another question to tack on for you guys. And those are all absolutely wonderful, beautiful pieces. And I wonder if you have a gratitude practice, if you have noticed that it really can and does change your life and how you see a lot of things in the world. That it opens up kind of doors for a lot of other things. Has anybody experienced that? And I'll share my experience. I typically, because my life is busy, your guys' lives are busy, I kind of chose the easy route in doing a gratitude practice. So before I go to bed, I say 3 things I'm grateful for. And when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I say 3 things I'm grateful for. But it helps me to settle in for the night. But in the morning, when I do the same thing, it helps me to kind of see through that lens of gratitude, so that maybe if there's something that's a little bit more challenging, I can flip it and see the good part about it. So I was wondering if anybody had any experience with that.
Yeah, we've got a couple here. We've got pausing to notice and appreciate the things we take for granted.
Yeah.
Yes, and you feel more positive.
Yep.
Another person said, I need to incorporate one.
It can be easy, just letting you know.
And a couple of people say yes.
Awesome.
And there was this old hymn, Count Your Blessings.
Nice.
And we ask our children to say what they are grateful for.
Yeah. And when you do that, always jump in and you be the role model too and share what you're grateful for as well. And you might already do that, but that's so important for us to kind of be the role model. And that's kind of another piece about the implementation of the Choose Love program, is that we want to role model these character values. And that's a great way to do it. So yeah, a lot of times you might have heard of like keeping a gratitude journal, keeping that by your bedside or whatever. I tend to make everything as simple as possible in my life. So I do the breath and 3 things I'm grateful for at night and 3 things I'm grateful in the morning. And just that simplistic, probably 5 to 10 second, action helps me immensely in my life. So that's a way that you can definitely do that. Thank you guys for sharing.
We have just one more: mindfulness throughout the day.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because it helps you to become more aware of the different things that you actually are able to have, right? Or able to step into, the choices that you were able to make. So that's, yeah, it can be an amazing practice and an amazing word to kind of grasp onto every day. So here's a very simplistic definition. When you practice gratitude, you feel thankful and want to share that feeling with others. So that's another nice piece about it, is that you do want to kind of share that feeling, because it is a feel good. I'm sorry, my voice is a little froggy right now. I think Meg said something about a frog in her throat too. So next character value, forgiveness. What do you think about when you hear the word forgiveness? That can be a tough one, especially if we have something that we need to forgive about ourselves. And so that's why I put the letting go on there, because that's a really kind of important piece about forgiveness. So any thoughts about when you hear the word forgiveness?
They're thinking about this one.
And I know it can be a tough word when you look at the character values. Forgiveness can be a tough one to kind of share out with your young children, depending on their ages. But once they kind of get the idea about it, they really do grasp it. And it might be an age thing, like Meg was kind of talking about that. And she talked about the sorry, the saying sorry. That's just an action, and kids can get away with things because they know if they say they're sorry, then they got away with whatever it was. And so one of the things that we did at the school that I was at with forgiveness was, instead of having a child, say sorry to somebody, we had them do an action piece where we said, could you, so say it was a push, whether it's accidental or not, somebody pushed somebody, can you see if so-and-so is okay? It looks like there was a push there. Can you see if that person is okay? And then if that person says, I'm okay, then you can model and ask that, well, do you think you can forgive so-and-so for pushing you? And where they may not quite understand that word, we were actually teaching this to 2-year-olds, believe it or not. So I had 2 through 6-year-olds. They get the idea around it. And yep, it's okay. They get the idea of the letting go piece around it. So young kids tend to understand more than we actually think that they do, or kind of can grasp sometimes. But when we taught it to the kids and kind of role modeled it, one day in a group of 3 or 4-year-olds, those kids took that message home, and we had a little boy come back the next day, and he said, my sister hit me yesterday, but I did tell her that I forgave her for that hit. And so he was kind of on the older end. So he actually kind of got it about, okay, she did that, but that word forgiveness helps me to let that go and not kind of keep holding on to that and hold that against her. But anyway, Connie, things in the chat.
Yes, there are just a few of them. We've got definitely frees me up.
Yeah.
And I think about the opposite, which is guilt.
Yeah.
And a couple more. It is not easy to not forgive. It's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to
Yeah.
find peace with things that that have hurt you or you have done to others.
Yeah. And that's what it does, right? When you step into forgiveness and the letting go. Yeah.
Letting down your guard. accepting and moving on, that feeling of relief. And we all make mistakes. We're not perfect. And it's a gift we give ourselves, whether
Mhm.
we are forgiving ourselves or others. It means we won't harbor the memories and let them influence our choices.
Wow, you guys got
Right?
this. You are ready to roll with all of this. This is amazing.
And we have one more. We model, I am sorry, and other, I forgive you, but it is not okay. Please don't do it again.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you can expand a little bit on what Meg was talking about, where she talks about the why, right? And finding out what was happening, right? So that's actually a way to extend that and around forgiveness, extend the conversation of like, I see that this happened, what was going on here, and really being present and paying attention to what the kids are telling you and talking about. So that's all a big part of it. So that was great. Thank you guys so much for that. So this is the definition here. Forgiveness means choosing to let go of anger and resentment towards yourself or someone else, to surrender thoughts of revenge, and to move forward with your personal power intact. And so when you hear, if you've heard Scarlett speak, her message is always one about how she really needed to step into forgiveness of the person who, did the shooting at Sandy Hook, because if she hadn't done that, then she would still be kind of holding on to that. She calls it her cord of this anger, and carrying that anger around with her for now. They just had a 10-year anniversary. For 10 years could be so detrimental to her health and her emotional well-being. And so she learned very early on after Jesse was killed that she really needed to kind of cut that cord and let go. And she'll always say she needed to take her personal power back and leave it intact, like it says here. And I encourage you to think about something that you might need to forgive yourself for, because if you can do that, if you can step into forgiveness for yourself, stepping into forgiveness for others will come a lot easier to you. So just think about that as we move on. So there are a couple of techniques that Scarlett went through. Actually, there's more than a couple. She had a whole page. If anybody attended her pop-up events that we had during the year, she had a whole page of all these different things that she kind of stepped into to help her move kind of through her grief and the letting go of the loss of her son. EFT, or emotional freedom technique, tapping was one of those. And so I put a couple of these in because I want to kind of keep us in motion while we're here, since we're the end of the morning together. So if you can just start tapping with me. So there is a book called Gorilla Thumps and Bear Hugs that is made for young children. I'm going to say it's not necessarily for preschool age, if those are the ages that you're working with, that you have at your homes. But what I do is have used the book because the pictures are amazing and you can always paraphrase. And then definitely that book works for older kids, I'd say kindergarten and up. So what tapping does is you're tapping on the meridians in your body, and it helps to relieve symptoms of a negative experience or emotion. So what you can do, and in your head you could do this, is kind of give yourself a mantra of what you want to let go. For me, I found that this just really helps energy to move throughout your body. So no matter what's happening, everything kind of ends up letting go and going into a positive direction. So you're going to move from this, which is called a karate chop, and you're going to go right above, in between your eyebrows. So in the book, Gorilla Thumps and Bear Hugs, which is again written for kids, it has these points named in ways that kids really like them. So the karate chop was the first one. This one doesn't have those fun names, but this is called hairy eyebrow in the book. So you're tapping on hairy eyebrow right now. And then the side eye is called eagle eye. Under the nose is called dragon breath. Just above the chin is called wolf chin. And then right on your collarbone is called gorilla thump, part of the title of the book. And then if you give yourself a hug and tap on your back, that's called bear hug. And the top of your head is called monkey point. So again, if you are working with young children, just think about how the illustrations in the book are super fun. And you can work with them and teach them about helping them to let go of something, you know. So-and-so hurt my feelings today, and the whole time they're tapping, they're saying, you know, what they're trying to let go of. You know, I'm going to let go of this feeling of hurt. I'm going to forgive. You can do any kind of little mantra that way. But again, I always say that you can really just simply do the tapping to help energy kind of flow and continue to move in your body and their bodies. Okay. And the last character value, what do you think of when you hear the words compassion in action? And maybe you don't actually quite understand what that is when you see that. Maybe you haven't experienced the compassion with the inaction part. But if you guys can go ahead and put something in the chat about what, I did kind of give you an example a little bit earlier on about the car stopped on the side of the road. But what do you think about when you hear the words compassion in action? And I'll tell you, at one point they had talked about, you know, after several years of having the movement and the character values, at one point they actually tapped into the ambassadors and they said, do you think that we should remove the inaction part of compassion in action? And we all agreed that that was a hard no, that the inaction part is the piece that needed to stay, because that what is actually kind of keeps you in a forward motion and stepping into your courage, which is just a really good thing to, you know, to be able to kind of tap into. So the inaction part stayed. Any comments, Connie?
Yes, we have hugs,
Mm,
outward actions of kindness.
yeah.
Hold on. Sympathy, etc., towards others, showing empathy, showing you care, empathy with no words.
Ah, yep.
And someone did ask for the name of the book.
Oh, yes. Gorilla thumps and bear hugs. And I believe there's a whole family that does the tapping solution, and it's the last name is Ortner. It's Ortner. And I believe it's either Nick or Alex Ortner that their name is on the book. So they're the authors of it. Okay, so a little bit about compassion and action. And remember, all these things that I'm kind of building upon, like with the movement, with the tapping, are things that you can implement when you're working to share out, choose love. So we're actually going to do a little quick sign language thing about how to sign compassion in action. So it's 3 separate quick videos that we're going to see. And here's self-compassion, which I love this: not judging yourself or allowing others to judge you, not blaming yourself, getting to know and accepting yourself, forgiving yourself, loving yourself, helping yourself overcome insecurities, respecting yourself, and protecting yourself. So that's like just this huge, great thing that you guys can wrap around yourselves, this great big hug. You know, it's all these words that I think we really need to kind of take in for ourselves. For self-compassion. Okay, here we go for how to sign compassion. So this is the first part, compassion. And get those hands ready. It's kind of a funky way to do your hands. It's kind of like this. The middle finger down and forward. So that's compassion. All right, do you guys get that? So here, I'll just show it again, compassion. And here's in. Okay, so it's just like your hand is a little cup, that's in. And then here's the action part. So get those hands ready here. So action. So you guys do that with me, action. So it's compassion in action. So that is a really, really fun way. You can find the signs for all 4 of the character values. So that's a really, really great, fun way to teach the kids. And it's another way that they're actually kind of pulling that learning into their system because they're using motion and action and their hands to do that. So sign language, you guys probably know, it's a great thing to kind of incorporate when you can. So the choose love formula: courage plus gratitude plus forgiveness plus compassion and action equals choosing love. So that's the formula, those 4 character values. So I always suggest practicing the formula for yourself first before you share it out with others, with the kids that you work with the families. I have or show courage when I fill in the blank. I show gratitude for myself when and notice I said that for myself because again, I want this to come from you, about you first. I forgive myself for fill in the blank. I practice compassion and action when and whatever that is that you feel is showing compassion and action. And you know what? That can happen for yourself too, right? I show compassion and action for myself when I go to bed by 8:30 at night. The action part is me climbing into bed and taking care of myself. Doesn't happen often, but it feels good when it does. All right, so it all starts with you. So you're in the center here and you've got the character values around you. So you role modeling those, living those character values, and then sharing them out. So another movement piece that Scarlett has shared out, it's called self-havening for kids. That also includes kind of like a mantra that you can say to help let go of, it might be a trauma or something that you're holding on to that might be holding you back. I like this where it says, I open my heart to friendship. I open my mind to learning. I choose to feel peaceful, safe, and calm. I think that's beautiful words, beautiful language to share with kids if you want to show them havening. And so we're going to do that. Basically, the first one, you're really just rubbing your hands together. Be very gentle. Doesn't have to be hard, just very lightly rubbing your hands together. And then hands on your face, you might be able just to hold them there, take a deep breath, or just do kind of like a gentle circle or gentle rub going on your forehead and around on your cheeks. Don't forget that breathing. And then last one is like a self hug, but you're actually kind of rubbing, you're starting at your shoulders and kind of rubbing down your arms. And so what you would do is you could have them, as they're doing these motions, say, I open my heart to friendship. I open my mind to learning. I choose to feel peaceful, safe, and calm. And again, you don't have to do that. You could actually make up your own, whatever you want, or you could actually have the kids. Is there something that you want to say while you're doing this technique? They can be very intuitive and they might share something with you that you might be really amazed at. So that's self-havening. And this is what it actually does. So the verb of it means to put into a safe place, and you can go to havening.org to find out more information, but it refers to a newer alternative therapy technique that incorporates distraction. So that's the touching part and the eye movements. The distraction is actually the word part. Its goal is to reduce anxiety and distress associated with negative memories. Again, because I step into movement a lot, we did a little bit of brain gym before we started. I think just the act of doing any kind of movement just helps to pull you right into the present, which allows you to help you let go of anything you might be holding on to without even saying anything. And the eye movement piece there is like when you're, doing these, you actually kind of can look, around the room as you're doing that. So that's what that part is. But again, you can go to havening.org to find out more information about that. And again, these are all kind of techniques that Scarlett stepped into to kind of help her with growth mindset and moving forward. And so Jesse's message, if you hadn't seen a video yet or heard about, how Scarlett kind of started the movement, she came home when she was going to get clothes actually for his funeral. And on the chalkboard in the kitchen, she saw that he had written the words nurturing, healing, love. So that has been kind of a driving force throughout the movement, is focusing on those words. And she found that in different languages, those words all mean some form of compassion. So that was like this really amazing message that she found. She has a new children's book out that is called, where's my book? I can never get this title. It's Choosing Love, a pathway to flourishing. Let me put it there for you. And so in the book, they show a picture of Jessie writing that message on the board. And nurturing, healing, love is a message written by a little boy, makes us feel good inside, bringing happiness and joy. And so that's just a little bit of a sample of that book. That book is available on Amazon. So again, this is another tool I'm sharing with you that you can bring into your programs. This book, you could take just one page and make the very simplistic lesson from that page. If you work with very young kids, you can kind of talk about the book. You don't have to read it. In the front, there's even like little lesson plans, but on all the pages, you'll see the rubber ducks. So you see the ducks on that page. So with young kids, you can actually just start out with saying, you know, can you find the duck on the page? So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this book, and the messages that are in the front that kind of share out how you can kind of teach the messages to the kids that you work with. I've actually been using those messages, Donna and Connie will tell you, I've been using those messages actually on our Monday reflections on our team gatherings, because they're so important. And I can just share one quick one. It's important for us to hear. Let's see. Just a really quick one at the end. Life is a beautiful thing that gives us many opportunities to practice these social, emotional competencies all day long. So that's talking about the character values. But it just talks about us, our self-confidence, our self-awareness, and things like that. So these short messages that I think are really important for us all. So the amount of happiness that you have depends on the amount of freedom you have in your heart. Which is an amazing thing. And I think that speaks to me, the freedom piece speaks to me around the part of stepping into your courage, because when you do that, you're more free to experience, I think, different things in your life. And the same thing about forgiveness. When you have that forgiveness piece for yourself or for others, you are actually more free in other areas of your life. So inhale compassion, exhale love. Inhale love, exhale peace, inhale peace, and exhale compassion. Repeat, repeat, repeat. That's the important part. So I did find this. I thought this was a really great way to kind of step into a little bit more around compassion. So 5 tips to feel more love and compassion for yourself and therefore reflect it back into the world. If you don't feel real love for yourself yet, act as if you do. And so this is, I'm going to step back into that role modeling, right? So role modeling your love for yourself is important for, I'm going to say it's important for the kids that you work with, maybe your own families, but it's also important for the families of the kids that you're with, right? It just sends about a positive message. I've had this conversation with Connie, and I know it's hard for us to say, I love myself. I think that's not something that we often practice every day, but I think if we do that every day, the more we say it, the more we realize that, hey, I'm awesome, I'm amazing. And you put out such a different energy when that happens. I've talked with Connie before about, I have 2 daughters. One is 22, one is going to be 26 this month. And I said to her, I said, they hold me to a very high standard of me showing that I love myself, because what is the message that I want them to receive? That I'm loving myself and I want them to love themselves. And I think that's so important, especially at the age that they're at. And even like when you're, with high schoolers and things like that, I think it's important because we don't teach that, right? We don't teach self-love. I was at a Choose Love event in Londonderry. It was the Touch a Truck event, and I had a Choose Love table there, and we had these little wooden hearts. that I gave the kids. I said, oh, take that heart home and see if you can write something, what you love about yourself. What's something you love about yourself? There were some kids, young kids, I'm going to say like 3, maybe 4, that really stepped into that. And right away, they're like, this one little girl took the heart. She said, I love that I'm working here today. She was 3 years old. And I'm like, you go, girl. I'm like, yes, she gets it, right? And then there was another 3-year-old that's just like, no, I love mama. I love mama, right? So she couldn't profess her love for herself. And then I had a group of, I'm going to say there were probably 3 9 to 10-year-old girls. 2 of the girls took the heart and I said, hey, can you guys write on there something that you love about yourself? And they're like, yeah. And they, whatever, they did say it then. This one girl put her hands up like this. She's like, no way, I am not doing that activity. And I'm like, so I didn't push it. I said, do you want to take the heart? I didn't even get, do you want to take the heart out of my mouth? And she's like, nope, get that thing away from me. So that showed me, and that's not the first time I've had kids respond in such a, like an angry way, like, no, I don't love myself. I only love my mom. So to me, that sent out a message like, wow, we need to work on this. We can work on it with these young kids. If we work on it with these young kids, just think how great that's going to feel for them as an adult to be able to say, I love myself. So think about that. Think about that simple thing for you to show and say, this is what I love about me. And then having them also say that about themselves. That's a huge, huge thing, right? Whoops, I was going to color on there. When you feel hurt by someone else, remind yourself that they are just like you. So this is kind of stepping into being responsive versus being reactive. Because when we get hurt, we can tend to react really quickly. Kids can do that really quickly, right? I think Meg even kind of pulled in an example about that. But if you can actually pull in a breath, so we did that brave breath, pull in a breath, right? And take that breath, pause, and then you can see the situation a little bit more clearly and a little bit differently, right? So they hurt, they feel fear, they have insecurities, they feel the need to defend and protect themselves. They are no different than you and me. So Meg said this, Scarlett says this all the time. Scarlett Lewis says, hurt people, right? And so if you've been hurt by somebody, but you're able to take that breath to be responsive versus reactive, you can actually see what has been or what is going on for that person to understand that the hurt that they threw out to you was a hurt that actually came to them as well. So when you can see through that lens, that really changes a lot of interactions that you have. And that's where you can learn to step into forgiveness and let that go, right? When you see, you know what, something happened to that person for them to put that hurt out on me. That changes everything. So think about that. Reminder, others are on their path just like you are on yours. We're all doing the best that we can. I think that kind of sets itself up for talking about, if we're judging people, but I think when we judge people, that comes from us judging ourselves. So I'm pulling it back on you guys to let go of judgments of yourselves. Love, remember that we're all doing the best that we can. You're doing the best that you can in any given moment. Take a breath and see how you can move forward. Being of service in the world. Nothing will help you find compassion within yourself and for others like coming face to face with people who have much less in material ways and way bigger problems than you. And it doesn't even have to be that way, right? I think just helping and being of service in any way that you can, it just sets you up to be in a different space in kind of putting yourself out into the world and wanting to be there for other people. So that's another way to kind of to look at compassion in action. Turn within and ask your higher knowing to show you where you lack integrity, love, trust, compassion, forgiveness, and acceptance, and then ask yourself to heal. And again, this is something I'm asking you to think about really more for yourself before, working to kind of share it out with others. Sometimes small shifts can happen over time. Allow your process to unfold. Allowing it to unfold is an act of love in and of itself. So don't be harsh on yourself. If you're trying to do something new or step into something new, allow the patience. I think Meg talked about time and patience. So think about the time and patience for yourself, just as you would think about that with children that you work with that might be learning something new. Connie, are there any comments that we need to visit before I show this video?
No, I think we're good. We've just got a few of just agreeing with what you're saying love it, true. They can relate.
Awesome. Okay, so this is very short, but again, I always like to honor Scarlett and Jesse when I'm presenting Choose Love workshops. So this is a different video than I've shown before, but it's still talking about her journey and what happened with Jesse.
My name is Scarlett Lewis, and I'm the founder of the Jessie Lewis Choose Love Foundation. I started this foundation shortly after my 6-year-old son was murdered at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Jesse, from day one, was larger than life. He was so sure of himself. He would walk up to a group of men and stick out his hand and say, "Hello, my name's Jessie Lewis. What's your name?" and initiate that. I asked myself the same 2 questions that I think the world was asking themselves. How could something like this have happened? And what can I do to personally make sure that it doesn't happen again? I felt like the whole tragedy started with an angry thought. The amazing thing about that is that an angry thought can be changed. So I started the Jessie Lewis Choose Love Foundation to spread the awareness to adults and children alike that we are not those broiling mass of thoughts that we have every day. We have control over them, and that we actually can choose love. Choose Love has spread all over the world. We can choose love by being grateful. We can choose love by forgiveness. And we can choose love by being compassionate and by helping others. My 6-year-old son left a message on our kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died. He wrote the words nurturing, healing, love. Those 3 words are not in the vernacular of a 6-year-old. However, they are in the definition of compassion across all cultures. When I saw them, I knew immediately that it was kind of a spiritual knowing that Jesse had, that he wouldn't be on this earth for much longer, and he wanted to leave a message of inspiration for the world. It's difficult. There's a lot of longing and sadness, but I try to replace that with loving memories and also productivity. I wrote a book, and it was based on journal entries that I had during my first 6 months journey of dealing with Jesse's loss and sadness, but moving towards hope and a mission. I love the fact that his message is spanning the globe, because it needs to.
Check out these other videos.
You can check out those other videos later. All right, so another message that he actually left that his brother found, and in those pictures in that video, the other boy is Jesse's older brother, JT. And so he left a message for his brother that said, have a lot of fun. So my question to you is, can you take this message to work with you every day, and can you incorporate it into everyday life? Sometimes I think we get so caught up in the have-tos that we forget to kind of take that pause and just be like, what can I do? Let's just go have fun. And I think you guys can do that with the kids that you work with, right? And just take that time, take that breath, and be like, you know what? Let's go and have some fun. What can we do? And let them, help you, because kids are going to step into fun a lot easier than we do as adults. So see how they can help you to step into having fun. So quick implementation. I know what time it is. We have about 10 minutes left. And so the rest of what I'm sharing with you are, again, just kind of little pieces that you could take to help implement the program into your programs, with the kids that you work with at your family childcare centers. there's a whole at the website, chooselovemovement.org. There's all the lesson plans. There's so much information, anything that you could ever want to know. It was created, the lesson plans are created by educators. It's birth up to 12th grade. The information in there is amazing. They have message to educators to read first. But when you go on that website, I know for me, it was overwhelming for me to figure out, well, where do I start? And I see here's courage, here's the 4 lessons in courage. So it took me time to actually kind of look through everything and then to implement that at the preschool that I was at, which we did actually implement it for, over 4 years. But along the way, I learned very simplistic ways that the kids were learning this formula in our school. And so that's what I'm going to share with you guys. And that we're incorporating it with our team, with our child care aware team. So I'm kind of understanding about the brain a little bit, right? And I think Meg actually kind of talked about that. So I think it was good that we were working together today, talking about what happens, when you react, you're in your lizard brain, so the back brain, and to kind of work through that to get to the middle brain, which they call here the numbat, and then to your human brain, your prefrontal cortex is where you're going to be making the best decisions, but you need to get there first, right? So taking a breath, the pause, all of those pieces are ways to actually leave that reptilian brain to be able to get to the part of your brain where you can make better decisions. And that's a very easy thing to talk to kids about. And this is the hand model of the brain that you can share. And this you can actually just look up on Google, where if you're in your downstairs brain, that's where you're flipping your lid, your fingers are up. When you're in the middle part of your brain, that's your emotional brain. So it's probably better than being in your reptilian brain. However, it's still hard to make really good, solid decisions from that area of your brain. And then with your hands covered, over the reptilian and the middle part, the prefrontal cortex, that's actually where you want your decisions to come from. So that's something that you can kind of very simple. What do I want to say? Simply, you can simply share with the kids. I cannot talk. Anyway, so that's the hand model of the brain. Again, you can Google that. This is a poster. So when you go on the Choose Love website, they have all these materials that you can print out. So most everything that I'm showing you is something that you can print out that you could just have, hanging on your wall at the eye level of the kids. So they talk about leaving the lizard, which is the reptilian brain, to nudge the numbat, which is the middle brain, which is your emotional brain, to hug the human, which is your prefrontal cortex. And then I love that they put a picture of Jessie on there. The breathing. So we did the brave breath. So on the site, you have access, and to get on that site, you do have to register, but that's all you have to do. You kind of create an account, and then you have access to everything that's on the website itself. There's like media kits. There's so much information. There's a letter that you can send out to parents if you want to start implementing Choose Love that kind of explains the program to them. So anything and everything that you would need is there. Under additional resources, they have copies of these breathing cards. And again, there's a breath for every character value. They have book lists. So I just gave you examples here of what the book lists look like. They have it listed pre-K all the way like through 12th grade. And then they have samples of books. If your eye's quickly going to anything, you might already have some of these books in your centers. I had recommended, they ask for ambassador feedback, occasionally, and I had recommended that they definitely update these lists, because I know I've encountered a lot of books that really kind of incorporate the Choose Love character values, even more so than these books that are listed. And I'm going to show you what some of those are. We don't have time for this, but this book is called I Am Courage, and it's by Susan Verde. And this is a read aloud. I wanted you guys to hear it, but we're gonna skip it. But she has these amazing books that just so embrace all of the character values of choosing love. The I Am One, kind of loving yourself. Any of these books, the illustrations are amazing, and they're very simple to read too. There's not like a lot of words. but kind of reading them and looking at the illustrations together and kind of seeing how the kids feel about what's in the message in the book. Those are amazing. So I highly recommend that you add these books to your collection. They have Choose Love calendars. So that's always available on the website. They do have a calendar that's like just for courage, just for gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, and action. So it doesn't change, you know, with the months, but then every month they have a calendar. And I will share out with you guys, the last time we did a Monday reflection, I was actually at home. I had something that kept me home before I came into the office, and I have this calendar on my office door. And so we had done tapping at the beginning of our reflection. And then as we went, I asked one of our teammates, I'm like, oh, can you, because she was in the office, I said, can you go grab the calendar just so we can check and see what's on it? And wouldn't you know, so we already had done tapping, we had already done karate chop, and we look, and on Monday, May 22nd, it says, try the karate chop tap, you know. And I was just like, and everybody's like, are you sure you didn't know what that said? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay. So that's just kind of something divine happening, that I knew that the Choose Love calendar was going to have us do the karate chop, and I did that with you guys. So that was really funny. That's why I kept this one on here. But here's the June calendar for today, June 3rd, create a Choose Love kite decorated with your favorite summer fun activity. So it has things like that. And again, that's so accessible, so easy just to kind of pull out and say, you know, maybe you don't do it every day, but you're just like, you know what? Hey, we're going to do something fun. Let's see what the calendar says today. And you can really span that across a bunch of different age groups. This is available on the site. You can actually buy it. They have like a Choose Love store. You could actually buy this poster talking about how they feel. We know it's really important for people to, you know, to work with kids on kind of identifying what their emotions are. The thing that I kind of learned most recently in a workshop, which is very true, is that, you know, your angry face may not look the same as my angry face. So we want to be aware of that when we're using anything that's reflective of an emotion. And maybe you pull it to the point where, how do you feel when you're angry? Let me see what your face looks like. So you can kind of pull that into kind of like a, you know, a little activity. But this is available. This is on the site. So this is the most simplistic thing, right? Courage, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, action. It's just the 4 character values. I made copies of that and put it on our preschool walls in the hallway. We were housed in a church, and they always had to go down a long hallway to go out to the playground. This was the best teacher of the character values that I had out of anything that was available to me, because I put that at eye level. They would walk down that hallway. They're like, oh my gosh, can you read that to me? So we would start to read it to them, right? And then the next time, I think that first word is courage. So it's like they're kind of taking it upon themselves to try to figure out what that is. But then we've talked about the character values in the classroom. And so that's how it's kind of pulling everything together. You could put that up just in one area. You know, you might be one classroom, put that up in one area. Kids naturally get pulled to things. They want to know what they say. So they're going to ask you what that says. And then you can go into any other pieces of information that they may want to know. So that's a really, really great implementation piece. So chooselovemovement.org, that's where you would go to have access to all these different things that I had just shared. Be determined to see with love. It's a great message. And like I said, even if you don't do it every day, I just saw such amazing things happen with the kids that I worked with the families that I worked with the kids bringing the language home, and the families coming and saying, oh my gosh, you know, so-and-so was talking about, you know, courage, or so-and-so was talking about forgiveness. And it's just this amazing kind of transformation that happens when you pull those words into your everyday vocabulary. It's very funny. For us and our team, it works differently, right? We're not young kids, but I still think we need to be reminded, you know, about these character values. And I got an email from one of our outreach people, and she was a little bit upset about something. And I responded back, you know, just a suggestion or whatever. She goes, oh, she said, yep, I think I needed to choose love. It's just like, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to have, is that, in our mind that, yeah, you know what, we could go there and do something a little bit differently. So be determined to see with love. This is Scarlett's second book that's out. It's full of testimonials, full of ways, if you got this book, again, all available on Amazon, that you could see how different people around the world are incorporating the program. That's her first book that she talked about. This is a really, really great read. And then this is the book, the children's book that she just put out. And 2 ways to stay connected. This helps me with my team, is subscribing, and you do this on the website, to the Daily Dose. So when you get that email in your inbox, it's full of Choose Love activities and things that people are doing all over the world. They just share that out on a daily basis. There's a quote, which the quotes always hit home. That's a great thing to do. And then you can get a monthly newsletter. So again, you just go to the website. You do have to register, and then you can go to the page where it says email registration, and you could do both of those things, get their newsletter and get the Daily Dose. I pull a lot from that Daily Dose actually for our team. Jessie Lewis Choose Love movement is committed to teaching next generation social and emotional learning to kids and adults throughout the world through the Choose Love formula. The important piece, and why I really wanted that on there, is because of the 2 words, and adults. I think that if we can embrace this and share this out more and model it for the kids, then those kids, especially the young kids that we work with, are going to grow up with these character values in place already. The beautiful thing about in here in Nashville, now Choose Love really is all over the state, because we do have a program director for Choose Love. There's no other state in the US that has a program director that can go out and teach this to, everybody. But we, now I forgot where I was going with that. Help. Anyway, so she can go on and teach the program.
For adults.
Yeah, I still lost the thought, but but Donna tried. Anyway, I think it must be time for us to go. It is. Anyway, before you guys jump off, any questions? Thank you so much for being here today, but throw anything in the chat or unmute yourself really quickly. I know it's time to go, but I appreciate your time and your patience with me.
We do have a comment. Thank you so much for those resources. Definitely would check out those books. Kiddos love it when I read to them.
Awesome.
They did want to know if they could get a copy of the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Excellent. Another one says they love the posters, and I did put the evaluation link in the chat box. So please take a look at that. Please fill that out before you leave. And thank you note from Gail. She appreciates us both all for taking the time to do this training, and both are very helpful, not just for childcare, but for in life in general. Thank you, Gail.
Awesome. Well,
So
thank you
on
guys.
Monday, I'm going to send out a email to follow-up email with information, PowerPoints, the recording. So you'll get all of that information on Monday. So look for that.
We do have another note from Linda. Forgiveness in our culture these days is a rare value practiced. It is so needed. Thank you so much for talking about it.
Well done, Linda.
Awesome. You know what? And I want to say thank you to all of you for filling that chat up when we're, with the question answer. We talk about how virtual can sometimes be really, really hard for presenters and everything, but you guys filled that chat up, and everything that you put in there was so valuable for this hour. So I want to say I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate Connie and Donna and Meg for her messages. What a great way to start the weekend, right, guys?
What a powerhouse of a morning. This was excellent.
All right.
Thank you for being here, Dee Dee. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge about Choose Love. So important.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right.
Also,
everyone have
I heard that tomorrow, I could be wrong, but is there going to be like this major thing going on tomorrow? Is that the big thing that's going on? And there's like this baby shower. Is that the thing going on in Nashua?
Yes. Yes.
And there's going to be this huge giveaway?
That's
I
not
don't, is
what
it
I've
in
heard.
Nashua, Connie? Is it in
Oh,
Nashua?
oh, no, it's Manchester. You're
In
right.
Manchester. And where is it in Manchester?
It's the Mama Baby Expo, right? And,
Yes.
oh, it's at the DoubleTree
Yes.
in Manchester. Yep.
Yes.
So huge
So
event.
I'm just throwing
guys.
it out there in case you guys are bored and you're like, oh my gosh, what do we do? So, you know, you're like, my whole weekend's shot. I have nothing to do. So anywho, I just saw the big, huge giveaway that they were doing from Child Care Wherever, New Hampshire. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so I threw
that's,
that out there.
Yeah, it's a
But
lot of
anywho,
really
you guys go fly, be free, have yourselves a weekend. And thank you guys so much. I am stopping this recording.